Sailing by moonlight.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday the 16th of December 2018. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Woo.
And Robert Kemp.
I am bloaty as hell.
That microphone's not very close to you.
It's fine.
Okay. If you say so.
It's fine. As long as because the way I see it is that now we've mounted them in the correct position, like the correct side of me, I will just generally be talking towards you.
Okay.
And it will pick me up better.
Ingenious.
Not that it was too bad last episode. Last episode was pretty great.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we've got it, guys. We've got it down.
Maybe.
We're improving.
Apart from
Fortune and success is on the horizon.
apart from we still have to set it up every time.
Well, yeah, and it does take forever. But
Well, I'm sure you can get the behind the scenes stuff a bit slicker for the listeners. It will be.
no, it's more
optimum.
just like it's more just like packing it up now, like because it's obviously we do this stuff in my living room, so it's like just getting the mixer out, getting all the cables out, putting everything in the right positions, getting in the face, doing a proper test, making sure everything's trimmed and leveled.
Getting the cat out of
So-
there.
No, yeah, Cat did just pay us a little visit right on cue.
Cat comes in and out as it pleases.
Yeah,
As cats do.
it's like it's like a runner, just sort of wanders in and goes, "Everything all right? Yep, all right, cool, I'm off."
What, you mean like a runner on a movie set, not like someone who runs a lot?
Oh yeah, not that kind of like a production runner.
But runners bring tea. The cat doesn't bring anything, apart from meows.
And joy.
And allergies.
Yep.
Right, just everything a good production needs.
Indeed.
Need a
Why
little
so
bit of-
bloaty, Roberto?
What did you eat, in other words?
Man, an entire week of debauchery.
Celebrations.
Okay.
The Christmas
No,
stuff happens earlier, doesn't it? Like for because everyone's going to go on holiday and stuff, so you've got to get.
Yeah, it's sort of compounded by the fact that I had to be at work all up north all week.
Oh, really?
And so obviously I'm doing that sort of like
So debauchery, you mean fast food, basically?
yeah, kind of eating crap every day.
Not exactly, huge meals, just shit meals.
Yeah, basically. I did try and be slightly better. I had like a pie at one point that had like green beans on the side.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But I did have. I have to tell you about this, right? So the butty van that comes around. Oh
shit, we're talking about food again.
yeah. I know this is
But
dangerous.
this is northern food.
Yeah. No, this is quite ridiculous.
Do they have curry sauce on their chips?
I mean, they have like chip shop gravy, which is something that's fairly
the
rare
stuff.
down here, I think. But
Yeah.
but they like. So there's a butty van that comes around the office like every day, but we just had to pick up this one particular sub because it was ridiculous. It was like it wasn't just a Christmas dinner sub. It wasn't just any Christmas dinner sub. It had like a turkey layer in there. It had like a pork layer in there for some reason. I suppose they just had to get rid of some ham. But it had sausage in there as well, like the pigs in blankets and all that. And then,
That's where
represents
the
the
ham goes.
Yeah,
It's like bacon, except not.
yeah. bit of cranberry sauce in there, all good. And the Yorkshire pudding
In the sub.
in the sandwich.
Presumably
Nice.
cut into smaller pieces.
But yeah,
Not just
but
like a whole pudding just wedged in there somehow in the middle.
well, it wasn't far off. They
Sweet.
sort of cut it in half, basically, and like wedged one half in one side and one half in the
But
other.
it wants to turn up into a semicircle, but it's
Yeah.
just been squashed down because it was originally round because it was
You
a
think
pudding.
they should have just made a flat Yorkshire pudding, because it's not like Yorkshire puddings don't technically have to be that shape. That's just the shape of the container you make them in.
I don't know.
Yeah,
They do sort of like naturally create.
They
a
curve
bowl.
up, but you can
Yeah.
easily make a flat. Like it, we used to eat shitty Yorkshire
Close in the hole
pudding
type
based foods quite often that were like basically a square.
Yeah, I guess. And like, I suppose if they're done quote unquote correctly, then they're supposed to form that bowl shape because they mysteriously puff out more on the sides of the tin that it touches.
Yes.
But yeah, like when Mum does them, for instance, the pungies, they end up being basically just like a mouth, more like a dumpling, I guess. Like
Pungies.
pungies, that's what we call them, because they're not like any other Yorkshire pudding. They're like mums are like unique.
Probably not.
Well, I don't know. I've never come across like anything that is like a pungi. Like we've tried. We've
An old
tried.
Kemp family recipe, the pungi.
What? I actually think it's something to do with like her kitchen and her skanky old equipment or something that just like perhaps just makes the punji in a specific way because it's just like it seems unreplicatable. Like,
I mean, it sounds faintly Indian
replicable?
in a kind of slightly mildly racist way.
punjis.
Oh, good old podcast racism.
Oh,
Back
yeah.
to the classics.
It's been a while. I'm gonna have some curry and punjis with my naan.
Sounds fitting.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Oh, the
Actually,
cat's come back in.
just,
Past two.
just investigating the technology, just to make sure it's all humming. Isn't that
Does
right,
it
Kitty?
pass the cat internet test?
Cat's
The
net.
original lords of the internet before apparently dogs took over.
And Nicolas Cage, our Lord and Master.
How's he doing in the internet stakes? I think
Oh, he's
he's
doing all right.
waning
He's-
a little,
It's
isn't
mostly
he?
just bees. I
Well,
mean, that's the one gift that I always see.
That's definitely
been in a-
waning, though.
He's been in a film this week.
That's true.
That you have seen, because I also saw it.
Ah, what Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
Indeed, yes. 'Twas excellent, I thought. Although
Good. I'm glad you agree. I'm like super hype on it. I think it's.
I
fantastic.
saw
I only
it,
saw
and
the
I
trailer, and I'm slightly enthusiastic.
It's really good, man.
I
It's
mean,
really good.
honestly, I came out thinking that was really good, and I also came out thinking Rob would really like this. I was gonna like recommend it to you because I didn't realize it was so like widely distributed or whatever. Like I thought, but I guess it's a big film, and technically, I suppose. Yeah.
It's sort of Sony pushing Spider-Man. They always
Yeah,
do, I
it's
suppose.
big
but,
enough,
like,
yeah.
I think it's the same animation team that worked on like the Cloudy and the Chance of Meatballs stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that kind
Um,
of shows it's very creative in that
Yeah.
visually. I thought.
Man,
Yeah, really, really
just
cool.
the aesthetic of it is amazing.
I mean,
Like, just
my
like-
synapses were almost entirely blown by the end. I think I think it
Oh,
was
boy,
just
yeah.
on the edge of going a bit too crazy in places. But I
mean,
think
we don't need backgrounds. They just need to be neon colors.
basically just exploding neon all over the screen constantly. You basically definitely don't drop acid and watch this film, or maybe do. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it was just really clever. It had a nice. Oh, did you see the end stinger as well?
No, I didn't actually. I'll have to look that up on YouTube.
The stinger's good. Yeah.
Is it good? Shit, I probably should have stayed. It was me and my brother in Picture House Central. It didn't even occur to me that there would be something at the end. Well, of course, there
Well,
always
see,
is, isn't there?
See, I look it up now because there's actually, you can just search the film you just saw and then look up the word stinger, and you'll almost certainly like land on.
while you're watching the credits,
Yeah,
find out
yeah,
whether
yeah.
you need to stay any longer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. You could, yeah.
So the bit that's slightly worrying me is that I think I went to see it on not on its preview night, like on its opening night, and there was nobody in the cinema except for me.
Oh, right.
Like, yeah. It was.
Well, I
like
had
a
no
Wednesday-
problem in
Wednesday-
London, but
Sure.
yeah,
It was like a Wednesday night in Runcorn, so I don't know if that says anything, but like,
that probably says a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
I
But
hope
it was
it does
completely
okay.
empty, and so I had a private showing, which was pretty sweet.
I don't think it's going to have a big audience like the Marvel,
The actual
like the live
films,
action
yeah.
films. But I mean, it was a proper
But it-
comic book film.
Yeah, it
which is-
deserves it. It's fun. Yeah, I guess my only real criticism that I have against it is that, well, it has the sort of slight Sony trailer problem again.
They showed all the good bits.
They showed a lot of stuff in the
No, I
trailer.
don't watch that trailer bullshit.
Yeah.
Try to avoid it.
Well, no, that was the only reason I knew that it existed. In fairness, was because I saw the trailer for it while watching a different film, and
I mean, they spoiled one of the best bits, which was at the start when the dad drops off the school and embarrasses him. That was really cool, but the entire thing was in the trailer.
There's also a line in the trailer that's also right at the end of the film, which is
Yeah.
really
Out of
irritating
context, presumably.
because it's a pretty decent payoff moment, and it's like, ugh, damn it.
There were quite a few things. What my brother's kind of criticism of it was there were too many things like set up and paid off. Like they had like 5 or 6 little thingies, that had to be,
I guess.
called
I
back
didn't-
by the end.
I suppose they did it fairly quickly, right? There weren't many things that were set up early that were paid off right at the end, right? There weren't many of
Yeah.
those. There were a lot of like mini arcs, I suppose, where something happens and then it's dealt with, and it's like, and then you go, oh, I see the parallel between normal Spider-Man and stuff because that's how this thing does its thing. It's like, oh, I see what they're doing. That's clever, cool. So I'm down. Like, I don't know whether I don't think they'll do another one of these. I don't think, even though they sort of hint that they might. But
Yeah, I'm not sure
I
how
don't-
another one could work in that thing. Or
Exactly,
maybe
yeah,
they
the
could
whole-
just do a different. I don't know. Spider-Man's the obvious one, though, isn't it? Like, who's as big as that you could do in that kind of style? Or I don't know. Anyway,
well, I don't know. The Spider-Man is the one that's just had this such a crazy multi-universe thing, though, isn't it? It's like
That's
it is
true.
a very inherently Spider-Man thing. This,
I mean, you could
I
probably
think-
do
I
it.
think
With, yeah,
I mean, classically, like this is my problem with every sort of like somewhat. For any film that has a slightly bigger cast than like just a focused down thing, is that they focused down, and I want to see more Nicolas Cage.
right. Yeah,
Like,
they just was slightly, but he was all his like 10 lines or whatever were pretty perfect.
They're genius, but I did want to see more of the side character, or like have them be the dynamic explored a bit further, because
it was
they're just
slightly
sort of there.
Yeah, a few of them were a bit cameo-y. I think the least developed was like Penny Park or whatever, the sort of anime one.
I really think like Spider-Man Noir is the least used, like because he's just got a couple of lines. And, like,
but he comes off quite.
Penny has that little mini side plot for a second, and like.
But that didn't really work for me. That little. I
don't
think
it worked,
like,
but it was there.
Yeah, I guess it was there. It was cool getting a bit of Peter Porker as well. Spider Ham.
So it's such a random pull, like it's such an old pull as well. Like I suppose it's not again like one of those variants that's really not that well known.
No one knows about Spider Ham, but I think it's kind of complicated by that Simpsons joke.
Yeah, by Spider Pig. Yeah. I wonder if that's all. They've just done Spider Pig, but it's not Spider Pig.
But
no. Spider Ham came a long time before. Yeah.
So I guess they didn't have time to. They tried to do the origin stories really quickly, but I didn't quite get because the Spider Ham origin story is really, really good. But I don't think they quite.
They didn't go into.
They didn't go into it. No, because the idea of Spider Ham is he's a pig. He's a spider, right? Peter Porker's originally a spider, but he gets bitten by a radioactive
pig.
That's right.
and his universe is basically all the Marvel characters, but they're all animals.
But anthropomorphic. Yeah.
Like Captain America.
Yeah. Of course.
Speaking of movie trailers that I saw, how about that Playmobil movie trailer?
Wait, what?
That's right. They want the Lego money. They're basically just making that same film.
No.
By the looks of it.
No way.
Because the writer of the Spider-Man one is Lord and Miller, isn't it? From the Lego movie.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the same team, same writer. So the Lego movie guys made Spider-Man, basically. Well,
so is the Lego movie guy making Lego Movie 2?
Yeah, I think they are. Because they were doing Solo, right? But then they dropped out. The Han
presumably
Solo
to work
film.
on Lego Movie 2. Sensible option.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they didn't. I think they had like creative differences. But who's going to do the Playmobil? Like Lord and Miller is what made Lego Movie work, right?
Pay enough attention. It's not quite the same as the Lego Movie because it's humans get transported and changed into Playmobil into the Playmobil world somehow.
There's no way to make that work.
Okay. So it's a bit like Jumanji, but for Playmobil.
But with Playmobil.
It's just going to be a giant pirate scene, surely.
Well, no, they have all their different, like Lego. They have all their different worlds.
I thought Playmobil, the pirate one was like
here's the cowboys and here's some police.
Yeah, but one of the cool things about the Lego movie was by that point, Lego had all the licenses to everything. So they could just do all these references like Batman or Lord of the Rings. But Playmobil don't have any of that.
Well, maybe they have something. Because,
I don't think they do.
It's like Mega Bloks and Halo, where it's just like, maybe they have one thing that they can reference.
Mega Bloks just take all the licenses that Lego won't touch because they're too militaristic.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty and Halo.
Or a little adult, or a little...
Yeah, because Lego can just about do Star Wars, but they couldn't do Halo because there's too many tanks and guns and things. And it's kind of against their kind of original vision. They would definitely never do Call of Duty.
No, nor would I want them to.
No.
I don't think anyone should do a Call of Duty thing. There's not enough Call of Duty-ness to make it interesting. Like,
it wouldn't even be a Call of Duty thing. It would just be like modern military equipment.
Yeah, but that's what it is. So that's what Mega Bloks do. And also, by the way, did you know Mega Bloks changed their name?
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're now called Mega Constructs. Mega Constructs?
Oh man,
A
they
good
really have
construct.
gone all in on the Halo thing.
Oh yeah, they've got tons of sets on Halo sets. You can get all kinds.
They are now just run by Cortana. It's like, yeah, we're constructs.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
No.
I'd actually forgotten what a construct is.
I haven't seen
in the Halo
Playmobil
universe.
in so long. I don't even know what modern Playmobil even looks like.
No.
It looks the same as 1970s Playmobil, doesn't
Well,
it?
yes, you would assume so.
Do you remember where we used to go, like, to the Stone Market?
Yes, I know
Centre?
exactly where this reference is
Yeah, and they used to do like
Yeah.
a big, for some reason, like a big like glass cube.
It's definitely
just
still
filled with
there, right?
Playmobil.
Surely.
I don't know.
In that
Probably.
cafe. Yeah,
Yeah.
in a glass
going.
case.
Because even at the time, you'd look in there and be like, look at all the bits that have been dislodged and like
Yeah.
you can see where the glue was.
Yeah.
But they've all
Yeah.
fallen over and got somehow, even though it's an enclosed box.
It's such a weird thing to do as
Time.
well. It's like, okay, kids, here's a toy that you could never afford in a glass case. Look at it.
Well, I mean, it's got. Was it like? Is it advertising? Maybe.
I don't know, maybe.
I really don't know. Yeah, I guess it's an ad. Yeah, like maybe the toy shop, the little toy shop in Stone Market was trying to encourage people to come to them, like be like, "Hey, we've got Playmobil here."
Oh, that shop closed, didn't it? Sad times.
Yeah, and like every Scalextric and Hornby stuff, like they would just
I mean, that
double down on. I remember getting
that's
Tiger
cool.
Electronics from that place.
I only went there for Scalextrics. It was one of those classic old school shops where it's just like everything is crammed in.
Yeah,
it's
it was
just like
pretty crammed.
here's the wall that is basically just brown cardboard boxes with individual pieces of Scalextrics in. Rummage through here and see if you can find the one piece that you actually want.
Didn't they
Yeah.
have like a like the Forbidden Room, which was basically just filled with sports stuff? It's like, don't go in there. It's got sports stuff. It's got
I mean, the
badminton
best
rackets.
place for like Scalextric and Hornby is the one in Bury, right? Model Junction. That's still there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Too far.
Yeah, I suppose I've only
It's slightly
been in
too far.
there once, but yeah.
that's quite stuffed, but it's possible to actually find what you need there.
I remember that being a good place if you want to get into RC cars.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
they
had
got
quite
a
lot of
whole
that stuff.
serious RC car section there. Yeah, crazy. But that's like a weird, expensive hobby.
Back on the film thing, I've got two things.
Okay.
Wreck-It Ralph 2, not that good.
Well,
Right.
it was never going to be.
Well, it's like it suffers from the problem. Like okay, the first film I really quite liked. Like I'm not sure actually how well it stands up, or how much I was skewed by the gaming nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
It's like so the second one has the problem that it's not about gaming nostalgia
No.
anymore. It's about the internet.
Yeah.
And it has
It
the
might as well be the Emoji Movie.
yeah, it kind of really is just too much of that. It's like okay. I imagine it's a little bit less corporate ad than the Emoji Movie.
Yeah.
I'm not that I've seen the Emoji Movie, but like the problem with it is that there's no nostalgia value. It's just this is the internet, isn't it awful?
Yep.
Like it's the whole time.
It's
It's
like,
just like
we don't need to be reminded about that. It's happening right now.
yeah.
You just look at your Twitter feed for 2 seconds and basically see exactly what they're riffing on.
Most of the jokes aren't even all that inventive or anything like that. There's, you've got the entire internet to perhaps pull something from, and it's just like two idiots who don't know what the internet is, and it's like that's not all that interesting. Like yeah, so that's a bit of a shame. Like they even the one
is
thing
there-
it
I-
had
obviously
going
I haven't-
for it.
Seen this, but is there a bit where they go to the dark web or something? I saw in the trailer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
how-
a thing.
why are you going to tell kids? That the dark
Why are you going
web
to
even
reveal the
exists?
secrets of the internet?
Yeah.
True.
Like
Yeah.
what? They're going to go home from Wreck-It Ralph 2 and be like, "Oh, I'm going to download Tor." Start ordering things on the Silk Road Mark 12 or whatever they're on now.
I forget what it is. It's like a little bean-like character called Gorn or something that's just or Gord. It's just like I wonder if that's like he's the VPN. It was supposed to represent the VPN. Like yeah, weird. I don't know. It just doesn't quite hang together. It's not that interesting. The one like thing that they could have succeeded on is their sort of pastiche of modern online games. And to a certain extent, they succeed in the fact that they make the human player characters look like really dumb. So they move around the world in like poorly animated way, like jumping around like they sort of do in MMOs. And it's like that's kind of funny, but they don't really play much on the whole like idea of like how much money you have to put into it or any of this thing or how free to play really works and any of that jazz. They basically they touch on the idea that it takes people like a ridiculous amount of time to get the super high level stuff in these games, but not in a meaningful way. They just sort of acknowledge that it's a thing. And it's like, that's a bit of a shame. You probably could have done more here to like tear down or do some sort of like critique on it
that would
rather
have
than
been
just saying it's a thing.
That would have been if it had been about games again and not about the internet.
Yeah. But it's just like, as I say, they don't really have it. It feels like it doesn't really have anything to say. It's just saying that this stuff is there, which is a bit of a. I know you don't expect like a message in a kids' film necessarily, but like or a political view.
At least, I mean, the first one at least had a whole story, I guess.
I mean, yes, this does.
It does, but it's not like
it's paper thin.
Yeah, not as like a logical story, I guess. It's just like the story is just there to lead you through a whole bunch of random set pieces.
There's some Disney stuff in there that is actually pretty great, but the problem is that most of it is in the trailer again. Most of that stuff is in the trailer, and it's like, didn't leave a lot else for me to enjoy, unfortunately. And finally, on films, let's segue into news slightly.
Okay,
let's talk about that Sonic poster.
Oh god!
Oh god!
And
so Sonic's well-defined calves, right?
Yeah, man, and tiny feet. Like his feet are like traditionally massive.
His feet are like normal sized.
Yeah, they're like
with normal trainers on.
So this is there's that silhouette poster that's been about. There's like a poster of the San Francisco Bridge where he's got his like just his legs.
Yeah.
And there's also like a leak image that's doing the rounds at the moment that may or may not actually be like from the resulting thing. It's like because it's like supposedly a year old or something.
Maybe concept art.
Yeah, or maybe like an abandoned idea, where it's just got like a very. It doesn't look as bad as I was expecting, but it's definitely not Sonic as you'd know. Sort of like a more human child-shaped Sonic leaning on the hood of a car, just sort of chilling out with a cop in front of him, suggesting that's the premise of the story here, that Sonic is like a cop helper.
Well, maybe not. He might be leaning there like sarcastically.
Maybe, yeah. Like smacking his ass on whilst jumping between missiles, like from Sonic X.
Yeah, exactly. Clearly along those lines.
But good God, this is a weird direction.
Well, I think
it's like Michael Bay took it right and did a Turtles on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of inevitably. At least this is not actually a good thing. At least it's seeming like it might actually come out.
I mean, yeah, there's that.
For a video game movie, that's getting kind of rare nowadays. People keep saying they're making them, but they never actually come out.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate truth is, I think you're right. I think it will actually happen.
Oh dear.
But it will probably be like the 90s Super Mario film, and it's not really.
It can't be that bad.
It's not really a Sonic film.
Well, we shall see.
Be an Escape from the City cameo somewhere.
The song.
The main thing I got out of the Giant Bomb quick look of Smash Brothers was Escape from the City is in Smash Brothers.
Sure.
I think it's been in the last few versions.
Oh, really?
I think it's been there since Brawl.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if it's been since Brawl.
Didn't realise that was.
I think they might have not used it in Brawl.
I think they added the Sonic 2006 music to it.
Well, yes, naturally. As you do. Got to keep referencing that.
We'll talk about Smash later. I know. We've clearly got
stuff to get.
Let's not get into that now.
Escape from the City, though, very important.
Escape from the City.
The trouble is that if it is in that film, it'll probably just be like he'll walk past someone playing GameCube or something, or Dreamcast if they want to be real.
It'll be like Spider-Man films where someone's just like casually singing it on the street for no good reason. Like,
yep.
Yes.
Or it'll be on the radio while they're in the cop car.
I mean, they are in San Francisco, so they could theoretically just have the fucking street surfing snowboard thing.
Yeah,
because that's basically San Francisco City Escape.
It's kind
of one of the most iconic things they've done in the last 20 years.
That might be like too much of a hard reference, where it's just like we're just going to make that whole thing in an actual film form.
Well, I hope he jumps out of a helicopter.
Yeah, jump out of a helicopter, steal the chunk of metal off it, snowboard down the streets. That might be a bit too much of a direct reference.
I'm down. I'm going to watch it regardless.
I am not down.
Yes, Rob's going to watch it, obviously.
Fine.
It'll be... I don't believe it will be good from what we've seen. Like,
but it might be funny.
How can it be? It's not Sonic.
It can't be. It can't. I don't think
like it's as close to a Sonic movie as we're going to get.
Not quite.
I might as well put Ugandan Knuckles in there.
Well, no, that's what you want to see. You want to see if, like, imagine take Sonic Boom Knuckles and then put it into this art style. Turn the weird anatomy up to 11.
It's
like,
so weird.
It's not because Sonic has lost its way or something like that. It's just because it just doesn't work. It's like you couldn't make it. Mario's great. You still can't make a good Mario film. It's impossible.
I don't know. I have a little bit more faith in Illumination in making that work, because they're the guys that are supposedly doing the Mario film, right?
Right.
You know, the Minions guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Risky.
Very risky.
I don't know.
And pointless.
If they just go full on slapstick and make it a Mario that can't talk properly, like,
I don't know, though. Don't think that would last a whole film.
well, they somehow made Minions, right?
Yeah, but that's a different thing. That's not. I think the trouble with Mario is that, like, even though he's a video game character who barely ever talks at all, you imagine him to be an actual person.
That's true.
You don't imagine Minions to act like people, really.
So what if they did the the Super Mario Super Show version?
Yeah, I mean,
or even like the early
with
cartoon
less of an
versions where
accent, maybe.
where he's mysteriously gruff.
You don't need to say "Hi paisanos" or whatever the fuck he says. Forget what even that phrase is.
Swing your arms from side to side. Do the Mario.
Do the Mario.
Like, they've already helpfully retconned the New York /plumber thing, so they don't have to worry about that any longer.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a plumber. It's just a thing he did, maybe, at one point. Maybe.
I mean, that was just, like, written by some Nintendo of America employee for the manual, wasn't it? Or something? It wasn't actually, like, ever intended by, like,
they just
Miyamoto.
They wanted something to explain the pipes, and the obsession with pipes, that was all.
And the overalls.
They were basically in a sewer in that first game, so I mean, I guess it sort of made sense.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, does it predate? Does the Mario is a Brooklyn plumber thing predate Super Mario Brothers? Does it come from like Mario Brothers, or
it might come from Mario Brothers? Yeah,
doesn't come from Donkey Kong.
No, because he wasn't.
He was
Mario
a carpenter in that.
He was a carpenter, and he was Jumpman. Before he was named.
Like Jesus.
Yeah, clearly good parallel.
I don't remember the bit where Jesus fought a giant monkey, but all right.
Yeah, he probably does at some point in heaven.
I'm not sure there's much fighting going on in heaven. Generally, is the idea.
Well, there was a big fight, wasn't there? Like
there was a big fight at the start, but that was a different thing.
I don't think there's much of a corporeal form with which to fight in heaven.
You can fight ghosts.
Yeah, you can fight angels, fallen angels.
It's Bayonetta's job.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, true. Now that would make a good movie.
and they're from Purgatorio or something. They're not actually from heaven in Bayonetta, or it's like, yeah, they're not really angels, I suppose, by that logic. Yeah, it's weird. Bayonetta's weird, but yeah, that'd be a fun film.
I mean, it would be really stupid, but it'd be fun.
It would be difficult as well, because it would have to be like, you couldn't really make it a kids' film, right?
No.
No.
Yeah.
It's just an anime. It's just an anime.
Yeah, probably just an anime. I hear people say that Castlevania anime on Netflix is actually pretty good.
I saw some of it, and my flatmate's really into it, or really liked it, but I was watching a bit of it, it was like, But then...
Is it one of those things where you need to know the games for it to
I don't
really
know.
hit?
I don't think you should,
so.
Right?
I mean,
it's not exactly a complicated story, anyway.
I guess.
It's like the Belmonts fight Dracula. That's pretty much the whole thing.
I mean, when I was watching it, the Dracula teleported his castle, and I was like, this is just Count Duckula. I mean,
yeah.
I thought that's where you were going with that.
I mean, where else?
It's not like he hasn't. Not like Dracula hasn't done that in literature before, I guess.
I know, but still.
Whatever you want to call it. Stories.
That's all I remember about that.
Dracula has weird powers. For being apparently just a vampire, except not.
Yeah, it seemed a bit like earnest, but that's the anime way. But it's it's more annoying when it's like in English. It's less. Yeah. It's less. It's hard to. It's easier to cope with the self-seriousness of anime when it's all
when
in
you're
Japanese.
reading it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that is. Anyway.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It doesn't come off quite right.
Yeah.
A cultural difference, all that jazz, I suppose.
Yeah,
maybe
I guess so.
Well, it's because you can't hear, because you don't know Japanese, you don't understand what like the inflection of what they're saying is. So you're just reading it and implying whatever you think is the tone of that sentence.
I guess you don't know if it's hammy
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it's done in a different language, you don't know if it's coming. If the Japanese actors are also bad. Do you know what I mean? You don't know.
Yeah. And just the idea of watching like a kind of Western-sponsored produced anime made for Netflix, based on, I don't know, an old video game property. It's just kind of weird.
Isn't that quite a thing now? Isn't there quite a few?
Yeah, there definitely is a thing. It's for sure a thing. I still think it's
Ruby
weird.
Is doing well for itself, isn't it? As an American anime.
Well, that's been several years now. Though.
Yeah.
Not a recent one. That one's not recent.
No, but it's broke through at least and has done all right. I don't know if it's gone the other way. Like, has Ruby done well in Japan?
Probably not.
No.
Japan never liked stuff that tries to get important to them for some reason.
No, they're quite insular, but in that respect, it's like, no, this is our culture. We want to see our version of it. We don't want to see your version of it. Yeah.
Don't blame them.
No.
Yeah,
for some of the shit that gets exported. Yeah. Like the Xbox.
Perhaps.
Oh,
despite Microsoft's best efforts.
Come on, guys. We've got, like, Blue Dragon, or whatever it was
Lost
called.
Odyssey, man. Oh, you're right. Both of those. They're both, they Mistwalker Studios?
Panzer Dragoon Water.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
That's a good segue point right there. It's a good segue point.
Let's go into the news.
News!
The news about the video games. And what is going on.
Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Zwei are getting remade.
For what platforms?
Well, presumably all of them, because it's Sega.
All the platforms.
Tend to do all of them, but
oh right. I mean, those games are like unplayably bad graphics now, like because they're from that early 3D era.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you can when I went back to Panzer Dragoon Auto early in the year, like
Panzer Dragoon Auto, sure, but yeah.
But one of the things you unlock in that is the original Panzer Dragoon,
right?
And so you can go back and play it, and weirdly, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it. Like when I went back to it, and I don't know if maybe it's just because maybe that Xbox version is mildly enhanced compared to the original. Who knows? But I think it's playable.
It's not like it's an N64 game.
No, well, or a PlayStation Classic game. Hi-oh. But it's, but yeah, you're right. It is kind of painful.
Where's my Sega Saturn Mini Classic?
Yeah, there'd be like nothing on that. I
can't do everything on it, basically.
I can't even think what you'd put on that thing, really.
All of it. Just the entire ROM dump.
Sonic R. Daytona, maybe. Sega Rally?
Maybe.
There was a Saturn version of Sega Rally, I think. Yeah.
That must be quite crippled to get it to work, though, right?
Sonic 3D Blast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God!
It wasn't Sonic 3D Blast, though, was it? That was what it was called when it came out.
Was that the Mega Drive
just Sonic
version?
3D, I think.
Sonic. Okay, yeah, you might be right.
Because of blast processing for the Mega Drive.
Yeah. the Traveller's Tales. They're all Traveller Tales. I don't know why the Genesis one was specifically them, but in a way, that was the most impressive version, getting it to do what they did.
Getting it to run at all, yeah.
Symmetric Sonic.
Oh, yeah. Symmetric.
With FMV intro that probably took up like 90% of the disc.
There's a very good video on that by Game Hut. Go check it out. Like how they did that.
You want to know everything about that game?
Yeah.
Just go watch that channel for.
And perhaps go download his director's cut ROM. Well, I don't know if I can recommend that. I don't know. I'm surprised Sega haven't stepped in to do something about that. To some degree. But I suppose Sega have never really repackaged Sonic 3D, have they?
No.
It might have been on that Mega Collection disc I had for the 360. But...
maybe.
But Game Hut, that guy, that Traverse Tales guy. You want to learn everything? Anyway, Panzer Dragoon's coming. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what they do. Whether it will be like a more of an up-res, so the game plays and is the same game, but just with modern graphics, or if it's it is a full-on remake, a reimagining of those games. Maybe not Final Fantasy VII remake, levels of we messed this around, but yeah, still interesting to me anyway, if no one else.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Well, we'll see. Panzer Dragoon. Look forward to seeing what they do.
It's alive. Yeah, let's talk about the Epic Game Store, shall we?
Oh God,
what's going on with the Epic Game Store?
So
it exists. Is the first thing, I guess.
So, like, in the space of between our podcasts, like, not only was the Epic Game Store announced, they then a couple of days later said, "Yep, we're live. You can the Epic Game Store is up."
Is this off the back of Fortnite's success, right? They're like
pretty much, yeah.
They're like, well, Valve had Counter-Strike and they launched Steam off the back of that, so let's just do the same thing.
Let's do it, yeah. Well, more to the point that they're sort of almost like they've got time to spare in some ways, because they've also announced that they're like dialing back on their other development projects. So, like, the Unreal Tournament open source project is now officially dead. Like, Epic aren't going to work on that platform anymore. Oh. Not that they were really working on it anyway, but they have now said it's like, yeah, no, we're not pursuing this any further. So I guess they had some. And they also apparently acquired the guy who used to do Steam Spy to help work on the Epic Store for some reason.
Steam Spy
doesn't seem like an entirely logical set of. It's not like he worked on Steam. He worked on a thing that scraped Steam's information.
Yeah,
it's not entirely the same developer skills.
No, that's a weird pull, but yeah. So they're competing, but they're competing hard. Is the news? It's like, so Steam has traditionally had the same sort of like cut of sales that every other app platform kind of has. That standard 70-30 split, right? So Epic put out the somewhat ballsy statement saying, yeah, we think these app platforms like grossly exaggerate their costs to host and manage this stuff, probably by a factor of about 300%, we think. So yeah, we're only gonna take 12% of the cut,
which is not mathematically the same as 300%.
I know, but they were like,
not even close.
But they were like, yeah, well, no, we can do this and still make money if we say like flat fee.
Valve could charge like 1% and still make infinite money.
Well, I suppose there are costs, right? You still do actually have to have hard drives,
sure.
But you do still have to pay for a ridiculous network to power the bandwidth that Steam needs. You do still need some amount of development and I was about to say curation, but like that's not really Steam's thing. But you need some people looking at it, right, to keep it rolling.
Valve could potentially probably even charge 0 and just use Dota money.
But the funny thing about that statement is that it came like days after Steam announced they were
adjusting their one.
Adjusting their cut, but only for games that like cross like the the top tier was like a $50 million tier or something. It's like, if your game has made $50 million, then we'll cut our fee to like, I forget what it was, like down to like 18% or something like that, or like
stepped.
So yeah, but still higher than anything that Epic were offering, and that's no matter what step you fell into. So it sort of so it basically comes across like Epic just giving them the big old finger, just sort of just going, no.
I don't understand. People are like, oh, finally some competition, and it's just like, what they're doing is what they have to do to attract anyone at all to their service, because everyone else is just going to go to Steam by default.
Yeah, but they could have just made it they could have undersold slightly, but no, they're underselling a lot.
I don't know.
And they're also being fairly aggressive in that they've captured a few exclusives already.
And that's just bad. That's just like the worst thing ever.
I think they're all timed exclusives. They're not like actual platform exclusives.
They've said like they're timed exclusives, but I don't know.
Meat Boy Forever have come out and said like it's like a year long exclusive.
Yeah, that does seem to be the standard. But that's just bad. Like, the main reason I even knew about this at all was because they fucking made Satisfactory exclusive to the
Oh, have they?
Fuck them. And then, naturally, the announcement video for that, I was reading the comments, and everyone is super pissed. And it's just like, you get like most of the people being super pissed, but then you get the occasional people who are like, no, it's good because now we're going to have another service which is going to have competition for Valve, and so Steam will get better because of competition, and it's not a monopoly anymore, and all this stuff. It's like, exclusives are like, that's just another different kind of monopoly. It's not competition because you can't buy it on both and choose which one's better. It's just hostage taking.
I can see it from the perspective of it gives the developers a choice on where they want to host their game, right? And it's like,
Like, except it doesn't. The choice is how much money they want to get up front.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
get paid for the exclusives, but you're losing however many sales by not being on Steam where you have the massive audience.
except for the surfacing issue that Steam has. Like, because there's so much on Steam, getting your game noticed on it is almost impossible without some kind of
Yeah, but that
media
will last
attention.
for like
And it's-
how long on the Epic Store? Assuming that they start getting people, it's just like
So-
the same thing will happen.
So Epic put, like, as part of their statement, did say that that this won't be a free for all, that it will be a curated list.
Well, because apparently they're going to just buy exclusives. They don't want to spend all their money.
I guess, yeah. But the statement they used was like it has to pass a quote unquote reasonable quality threshold. So, like, the implication being that unlike Steam, there will be humans actually looking at every entry and being like, okay, do we want this? Do we
But
not
Steam
want
doesn't
this?
actually have that much of a problem. If you look at your store page, you see things that are kind of similar to what you don't see all the like £1 bullshit shit that gets dumped on Steam. It just doesn't turn up there. I don't know why people think this is a huge problem.
I don't know. I do get some of that. My problem with Steam is that my recommendation list just never changes. It's like it's always the
Well,
same
you probably
garbage.
should just go through your wish list and like.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to do that. Like,
I think it sounds fine. I think it's good to have competition. I mean,
I-
because I think it's good to have not like Origin, where it's like a platform.
Well,
Well, that's the other
shuttered
thing about
to
everyone being
developers,
like,
right?
"Oh, finally competition!" It's like, yeah, like Origin and Uplay and all these other ones that work
Yeah, but
so
they're-
well to make Steam
but
better.
they're publisher specific, and like, yes,
Exactly,
you could
that's the
argue that
difference,
Epic
right?
could have been publisher specific, but they don't make enough games to be publisher
They
specific.
don't.
Well, no,
just like
but
Valve
Epic
didn't,
is publisher
right?
specific because basically they're going to try and get all the Unreal Engine games because of they're waivering the fee for Unreal Engine if you go and be on the Epic side.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay the licensing fee for Unreal.
So it's basically another
That's quite
exclusive store except for an engine instead of a.
I mean, it's
but they're not
an
stopping you. You can
aggressive
still put-
move
you
for
can-
sure.
Yeah, you can still put Unity games on there. They're not stopping that. And I think some of the ones that have been announced are very clearly not Unreal games. So, like, I don't know. The big one of note is that this was announced during the Game Awards that Supergiant are just dropping a new game. Fairly hot off the heels of Pyre, you might argue, like about a year and a bit ish. And it's like-
it
it's
wasn't
like
that
it's-
long since Transistor to Pyre, really.
That was a good couple of years.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, 2, maybe 3. And it's like, but okay, this is early access. It's not like out. But it's like, yeah, they're so Hades is their a roguelike combat thing. Looks a little bit like Hyper Light Drifter, but in the Supergiant style. And yeah, it's a Epic Game Store exclusive, except it will be coming to console as well. But
So what do you need now if you want to play like all the AAA titles on PC? Do you need like Steam and Origin and games for Windows and Epic Game
Well,
Store
and
and Battle.net or whatever
And
it's
Uplay.
called, Blizzard
and you,
and Uplay?
yeah, and Uplay, because Steam. If you buy a Ubisoft game, it's effectively you're buying a key to Uplay.
Right, which you
um,
then have to install. Right.
Some stuff you might need itch.io, I guess, as well. But
And
I've
Discord has a store now,
yeah, but you don't need Discord.
and GOG, but that's not technically a store.
mean-
that's not
I mean-
a launcher.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's not a launcher, yeah, but there's
Well, actually, I
there's-
think they do have a launcher.
Oh, do they?
I think it might just be optional.
Okay. Well, there's, yeah, the stuff on GOG's kind of unique as well. Like, some of the old stuff you can't get.
Oh
anywhere
yeah, but
else.
yeah, for sure.
And Humble store as well. Let's not
Yeah.
forget them.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's fine. I think for sure. I just mean how many like different weird launchers and shit do you need to play all the big games? Like
Yeah.
quite a few now, right?
Yeah, you don't need a launcher for Humble stuff because it's all DRM free. That's the point.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the point. Yeah,
um,
it's more about that. I'm more concerned about the weird splitting of the software that you have to run rather than the competition of. If they were just websites, I'd be much more cool with it.
Actually, you know what?
Because
I'm not
they're
even
like
sure
these
about
weird ecosystems.
I'm not even sure that old Humble brag is even a thing anymore. The whole DRM free thing, like, because I'm pretty sure they've got games like Tekken and stuff on there that were like, wasn't Tekken one of those like rootkit
Yeah.
like DRM things? Yeah, so maybe that's not true of Humble anymore.
Well, not everything, anyway.
Yeah,
However many there are.
yeah. So
And then the other reason
there's a lot.
everyone was pissed off about the Epic thing was,
Windows Store.
yeah, exactly. The other thing that everyone was pissed off about was, well, two or three things, I guess. Firstly, the classic situation where the people who are like, it's good competition for Valve and Steam, it will make Steam better because they'll have to compete against this other thing. Except the other obvious problem with the Epic Store is it's not got nearly as many features as Steam has to start with.
No.
So it's like it's not
Of
actually
course
competing on that front.
They are
Yeah.
launching lean, but like
That's okay.
Yeah, I think
MVP.
the very fact that it's caused a bit of a wave in the media and stuff like that is the push it needs. Right?
I don't
It's like it
understand
will-
why. That's the thing. It's just like
Okay.
it's just another launcher. Who really cares? Apart from
It's because Fortnite is so successful.
yes,
That's
it's
the only
because
reason
Fortnite.
why. Yeah.
And then the other reason that everyone's worried about it is like apparently, and this is based entirely on comments I read on the internet. Apparently, because Fortnite, Epic Games accounts are basically almost constantly under hacks. Like people are
Right.
constantly trying to break your password if you have a Fortnite account. It's like
Okay,
from
yeah.
Russia or China or wherever.
So maybe for privacy concerned, the Epic Game Store is not something you should consider.
Yeah, or like use a second email or something.
Yeah, no, I can see that argument.
And also, relatedly, there's been news stories going around that at this point, in the condition that it launched in, it may not obey EU laws to do with like refunds and GDPR. So that's always a fun time.
What did we mention? The BattleNet launcher as well. The
Yeah,
Activision
I
one.
said BattleNet,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I said-
missed that.
and I said Windows Store. So I said my list was, what was it? Steam, Origin.
I guess there were so many I couldn't
You couldn't
parse them
remember
all
them
at once.
All the
Battle.net.
names of them. You might remember what
Uplay.
company it was.
Yeah, all of those.
But yeah, it may not be compliant with EU law, which isn't always. That's something they'll have to sort out.
Really?
See, this is where it would have been good if the platform took well, maybe not good. I don't know. That's what's good about the PC is that it allows this kind of competition, but it does give you this
Yeah.
splintering. Whereas on the console, it's like, well, it's the Microsoft
Console
store,
exclusives.
or it's the
Yeah,
PlayStation store. There's
But
no,
that's what you
like-
don't want to bring that to PC. That's
Right.
what's happening.
That's what
now that
Microsoft
they're
would have
buying
wanted.
exclusives.
Like they would have
Well,
wanted it to be the
Steam-
Windows store, right? And you just get all apps
Yeah.
from there. But,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that
Steam
replaces
sort
Steam.
of Steam sort of wanted to put their store on platforms, right? They toyed
Yeah,
with the
with,
idea
like,
of PlayStation.
when they would do
And-
it with Portal
Right.
and stuff.
There was a brief moment in time where they almost got away with it, or were like leaning towards it on Apple as well, until Apple looked at it and were like, "No,
Yeah, we don't want a store in our store.
yeah,
And then they were like, "Oh, fine, fuck you, Microsoft. We're going to make PCs with Linux for gaming." And then that didn't
Yeah.
work.
no."
Well, that's like you
It's a noble
just
dream.
stay in your lane. Apparently,
Yeah,
the store makers have to continue making stores, and Microsoft has to continue making PCs, and you can't have each of them cross over to the other side. Apparently,
it's like it's like the Linux thing was always an oddly noble dream, but like just the platform of Windows and DirectX and all that stuff is just too well ingrained to.
There's still the possibility, right? With what's
Yeah.
it, Vulkan or whatever it is? What's the?
I mean, you can Vulkan, you can run on like Windows. That's not
Yeah, sure,
like,
but you.
because Doom ran on Vulkan. And,
Yeah, of course.
but it's a graphics driver that works with Linux. It's basically
yeah,
what it's like.
basically, yeah, any of the
And-
open stuff.
And people want to move from OpenGL to Vulkan. It's not like, oh, fine. It's DirectX obviously gives you more, but there's some actual real competition for DirectX now, like which there kind of wasn't at the time, or it was too early. I don't know. Because I think people want to run Vulkan on Windows, right? Like you're saying, like Doom or whatever.
Yeah. It
And
can
they're
be
doing
done,
that because
but
they
it-
want
but it-
to, right?
But yeah, it just requires. I think the problem with doing that at the moment is like I'm not sure if the major engines really support it all that openly,
yeah.
and it's
Just
like
yet,
Doom
yeah.
supports it because it's friggin' id.
It's
They
it,
can just
yeah.
they can just do that. Or they're willing to put the time and effort in to do that because that's what they've always done.
Precisely, yeah. But presumably, if you're making I don't know how it works, but if you're making a cross-platform console game and you want to run on PS4 and Xbox, you don't get DirectX instructions on PS4, presumably.
No, I guess you have to target you pick an engine, you
Yeah.
target Unreal or you target Unity, and just be
And
like,
they do the
well, okay,
work.
Yeah,
right?
they know how to work on this platform.
So
We
all
might not
they
be
have
able
to do is add Vulkan to those engines, right? Like Unreal.
Yeah.
And then,
Or EA will have done the work on Frostbite.
yeah, or Frostbite, yeah.
I forget what the Ubisoft engines are, but Snowdrop, isn't it? Is Ubisoft's
Right,
current
Snowdrop, yeah.
baby? Yeah. So they would have done the work there to make it work across the platforms. But yeah, someone's got to do the work at some point, right?
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to.
I guess there's no real financial incentive by right now.
Apparently not, if Bethesda is any indication.
Yeah, you
They
can't- you
never
can't
want to work on their engine ever.
Yeah,
you
well,
can't
their
put
stuff
Bethesda
now.
in it.
They said over and over again, like, I don't know why people are so worried about our engine. Like, it gets improved over time Like, why are you getting weird about wanting a new engine? And then they put the game out, and it's like, nope.
It's like it gets improved over time, technically, yeah, but not at a speed that keeps up with how much you want it to improve.
Yeah. Come on, guys, you got to
Like
start
the Fallout
again.
4 engine version of that engine is definitely better than the Fallout 3 engine, but it's still a horribly buggy mess.
Yep.
The Fallout 76 Fallout seems to be like.
Well, as we said, that's actually an older
Accelerating.
version of that engine. It's like that's an older version than Fallout 4 used.
There was so they've managed to annoy everyone again, haven't they, with that by like putting Fallout 76 on sale really quickly.
Well,
It's
yeah,
because clearly all the like player numbers like drop like a stone.
yep.
I mean,
As soon as
it's
everyone-
just a disaster, that game.
Yeah,
They put in widescreen monitor support that's not actually functional. Not widescreen, super
you
wide,
mean like super wide? Yeah.
where it just stretches the UI. You know,
Great.
Too lazy to do that properly.
It's like, where's my ammo count turns head? Like,
Yeah. Would have been better if they just left it where it was, right, and just had it to like the screen just gets wider. have all your HUD where it should be, but you just.
anywho, what the hell are we talking about?
Me.
Can't remember.
We were on Epic Store. That's where we started.
yeah.
That was
Okay,
that was
cool.
the news
Epic
on
Store.
that.
Cool. Well, that's happening.
Let's do the Game Awards. Game Awards were cool this year.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah,
I heard there seemed to be quite a big audience. I seemed to came.
It's like given
big
that this is,
deal.
this is the 5th year it's been running in its current form, and it's a big deal now. It was pretty big last year, but it's like when you're opening with your own orchestra with a theme tune by Hans Zimmer,
Right.
I think you might have made it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you could probably just buy some time off him relatively easily.
Maybe, yeah.
Because everyone does, apparently.
Apparently.
And, it was very like their theme is very much like a sort of quote unquote generic Hans Zimmer gig, right? Like,
Yes. It's like you hear it and you immediately know who made it.
it's like okay, I get it. It's one of yours. Yeah.
26 million viewers.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun show. It's like it's well made, and it's like it's less
That's cool.
boring than the Oscars, and like just like
That's
I
not
do wish
hard.
I do wish they actually kind of had more awards in a weird way, like
Right.
because they. Like Gnome said this when she was like in the room while I was watching it and stuff like that. That it's like even to an outside observer, like it's the awards kind of to her like the awards seem to be like second fiddle to all the announcement
Well,
stuff,
yeah.
and it's like, well, yeah, sure.
That's
The
kind of
announcements
true,
are what the announcements are what draws the audience in, really, and the rest of it is a celebration, like of the people that made a great year of games. And it's like, yeah, fine,
Sure.
that's I get it, but I do kind of wish they actually just had more categories and more awards and celebrated a bigger variety of stuff,
Right?
Because it's like I don't know, there were a lot of the award categories that actually seem to cover a lot of the same games, like repeatedly, because they do the Oscars thing, like best direction, best narrative, best score.
I mean, that does happen
it's
at
like-
the Oscars,
yeah,
where the same film gets covered, wins like 8 Oscars or something.
and I say that, and then you get the slightly odd category where it's like best esports moment, where no one understands what Jeff has just said. Like it's just like he rattles off like, oh, this team beat this team, the quadruple overtime from this team to this team. Like in what? Like what game are you talking about? Can we see that, please? Like
You definitely need to say the game for those, because several of those esports teams play in multiple games for a start.
I really don't think Jeff knew what he was saying. Like it just seemed like a bit of a mess. But then you get the moments like when they. I think the coverage of those things could be better. Like let the audience in on that moment rather than be quick about it. So I want to see what that play was. I want to see what. I want to know more about Sonic Fox and like why was this his year and things like that. And Flypad Sonic Fox, great speech at the end. Like yeah, it's pretty good. Although apparently like the auto cues were showing like in big letters, please wrap it up pretty quickly to almost everyone that was doing the speech. Like it's just like, come on, can get it on. But most people who saw it like actually just said it out loud. They were like, please wrap it up, and then carried on their speach. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. They did say they don't do the Oscars thing of just start playing music louder.
No. They did let them finish at least, but yeah, it was quite funny that everyone sort of acknowledged the auto cue. So like, please wrap it up. Yeah, so I don't know. No point necessarily talking about the awards too much. I'm not sure I agreed with all of them, but interesting to note that Celeste, I don't know, like Celeste seems to be this year's indie darling. Like it was up there all the time.
Yeah. Is that so? Celeste? Oh, sorry, I really don't know. That's that
Celeste is the
platformer
Meat
from?
Boy? Is the Meat Boy like one?
I thought it was from. Is it from the people who did? Oh God, no, I forgot the Tower of the. What's it called? Oh, forget it. I can't remember. The one where you're running around shooting arrows at each other.
Towerful
Ascension.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. Matt Makes Games.
Right. Okay. Because people keep saying Meat Boy, and I'm like, isn't that the Towerful Ascension guy? Not the guys, not the Meat Boy.
You're right,
guys.
but the gameplay is Meat Boy like.
Right.
Well, I mean,
but also a little bit
Towerful
like.
Movement of Towerful.
Yeah.
Right. So you can sort of see it in like the arc of the double jumps.
Yeah. I guess
It's a very specific kind of gravity.
Anyway,
yeah, seems to
cool.
Seems to have hit the critics in a way I wasn't really expecting. Like now everyone's talking about the end of the year stuff. It's like I don't know. I didn't necessarily get that much of a vibe from it when it actually came out compared to what people are now saying about it. Like,
yeah, but that's kind of what indie games do, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. But then, like, Dead Cells has had like a constant momentum all year, right? And it's like,
yeah, but that also had early access, right? No, I think Celeste had early access.
No, I don't think it did. I think it just
everything I
came
heard
out.
about Celeste was always super positive from the start.
Yeah.
But
it didn't seem like it. Like, I just mean it's like, yeah, it's I've never heard a bad thing about it. It's just like, for some reason now the talk about it seems bigger than what it was when it came out to me. Like, it feels like it's more talked about now.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would like it was a trickle down where like the first few people who played it were like, you have to play this, and then when that gets into like the publication layer where it's like, you have to play this because we need to talk about it at the end of the year.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you only need one person to say that, and then lots of other people have to play it.
True.
Yep, it's true. Cool. Well,
so
we'll talk about games of the year for ourselves in a week or so. So it'll be good. Why? You're not looking forward to it, Zeg?
Well, it's kind of sneaking up on us.
Yeah,
it is sneaking up.
It's a difficult year. There's so much good stuff we missed. Like almost more than any other year, I feel like I've missed a ton of stuff that's would be worthy that I'm actually kind of bothered about that I didn't end up playing. It's just because of time, the ravages of time.
So, but still, I'm pleased. I think for their top spot, they got a pretty good answer there. So we shall see.
Oh yeah, we shall see. I wonder if I'll actually get around to playing it anyway. At least getting a taste.
Any other announcements from?
Yeah, there's a new Far Cry game, Coven.
Yeah, it's another like spin-offy one.
Yeah, so it's one of their smaller projects, but it looks like they're doing somewhere between Rage, Borderlands, and Fallout to some degree. They're doing post-apocalyptic Far Cry.
Okay. But not as post-apocalyptic as like Blood Dragon.
No, not that crazy.
Okay.
I mean, it looks somewhat alright, but Far Cry always looks somewhat alright. So.
Yeah, they've kind of failed to enthuse me for a while now. But
I think Far Cry 5 failed to infuse, like most people when it came out. Like, even though there was some level of interest because of its setting, it came out and everyone's like, yeah. That's the impression I get. I've never been a big Far Cry fan anyway. So
I liked 3 a lot when it came out, but
still haven't played it. I know you got me a copy, but I still haven't played it. But...
I mean, now it's like, it would be a bit bare bones, I think now. But the thing about 3 is like it has like a cool, like the story is like interesting because it's like they're basically your character and all of your friends and stuff you start out with are really completely unlikable, which is kind of cool. Total dicks going to a tropical island, and then it's like, so you're right, you bastards. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then you're just
I do like the sound.
Yeah, and then you're just out on your own doing the crazy stuff.
Surviving.
Taking over bases and shooting up Komodo dragons who are coming out of the grass to kill you. Anyway.
Awesome sauce. Well, obviously we had Hades announced here as well. We talked about earlier. We had Crash Team Racing being the next Crash Bandicoot related remake.
Because I'm just going to work through them all, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. CTR did. It did have quite a following back in the day, though. Like, it was kind of a thing. It was like a relatively decent Mario Kart ripoff. In the age of kart racers, I suppose it stood out. So, all right, whatever. Seems okay. we know what Obsidian's project is now that they were working on. Something called The Outer Worlds. But I don't know. I got pretty heavy Borderlands vibes from this as well. Just with maybe a bit of like Mass Effect-y style conversation thrown in. Could be worth a look. I don't know. I'm sort of vaguely looking in your direction, Zach. It might be a bit Fallout-y, and you might like.
They're not specific enough. Like, there's too many games that are, like, we basically said, like, Far Cry and Fallout and Mass Effect. It's like, they're all very similar, but not exactly the same in very specific ways.
But it's Obsidian, man.
What does that even mean?
I mean, they worked on Fallout New Vegas, right? So,
yeah,
you know,
but that's not really an indication of what they do, because they were already basing that off Fallout 3. It's just a good... it's just a good sort of mod of Fallout 3.
Yeah, that's what they always did,
game.
Right? Like
the Obsidian have kind of been famed for that, yeah.
Like they made Knights of the Old Republic 2, right? That was kind of a good mod. Fallout New Vegas. I guess they did Stick of Truth.
Yeah, they did. That was they did the first. Yeah, they didn't work on the second South Park game, but they created the mold for the second. You could argue. It's not like they haven't innovated before.
No. I think it has potential. I quite like the sort of I don't know vibe of it from the trailer. It sort of reminded me a little bit of Rage.
I think they actually have the original Fallout guys involved. I think I seem to remember, like they got them out on stage anyway for some reason. And yeah, the original Fallout guys, right. Like not 3 onwards. Like yeah, so there's some writing pedigree behind this as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Again, it could be good. Another Obsidian hallmark. Their writing is normally pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty good stuff in New Vegas and KOTOR 2. I mean that's what made them good, right? It was just the writing really, because they weren't technically any better.
I'm only mentioning this next one out of comedy value to some degree because, like, the developers of Ark, I forget what, like, has a tagline, doesn't it? Like Ark Survival Evolved or something like that. And PixArk, they're making a new thing called Atlas, which basically looks like Sea of Thieves on crack. It's like they looked at Sea of Thieves and thought, oh, we can do that better. And just from their trailer, it does look like, oh, hey, we've got content, guys. We might not have the visual quality of Sea of Thieves, but we've got content. We've got crazy stuff going on.
Okay. So
it's like, yeah, just mentioning it because it just seems like it seems to be so directly pointing at Sea of Thieves and going, haha, look what we can do. And the only other thing I really want to mention is that we know what the first DLC character for Smash Brothers is going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I saw this one coming, but it's Joker from Persona 5, and it's like Persona 5 isn't really associated with Ninty, or like the Persona series in general.
Well, I don't know. That one feels along the same lines as like Kingdom Hearts would be, where it's like it seems like they're just sort of gradually migrating towards each other.
Yeah, I guess maybe, but not that Smash is necessarily like Ninty focused anyway anymore. No. But it's like, it's interesting that they, just an interesting pick. Like I don't know anything about Persona really, so it's like I don't really know how this fighter's going to behave or.
Well,
I mean, I guess he'll get his persona out, right? So
you would assume so, although how that exactly will work is like that might be where you get interesting mechanics, or he might just turn into like a Bayonetta style character where like instead of the hair, it's the persona.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting pull. If the rest of them turn out to be this interesting, at least, then it's like, oh, okay, maybe you're onto something with these. Like,
Kingdom Hearts could still happen.
Yeah, it could still happen. We could still see a weird Disney crossover somewhere. Although I'm not sure Disney would want Mickey Mouse being punched in the face.
It'll be the main character. It won't be any of the
it'll be
characters.
Sora or something like that. Yeah. E-Blades. Yeah, I guess the only other thing that was notable at the TGA was I don't remember another time where the heads of Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox were all on stage at the same time. They basically came up and did a very canned bit of banter, I suppose, to the crowd, saying, "Hey, we're here celebrating games." But it's like, I guess they're all there. They're not competing for once. It's not about that. It's kind of nice. Although it's a little bit weird, I suppose, for Sony getting up there being like, it's a celebration of everyone playing together.
Yeah.
Except on Sony. But yeah. Yeah, that's the Game Awards. What else we got? Let's talk about... I suppose the last real thing, I guess. PlayStation Classic is apparently very easy to hack.
Well, it's not really hacking as much as you just hit the buttons that turn on the menu, essentially.
Yeah, there's like a super easy menu to get
the
to.
emulator menu.
Yeah,
that is.
and then you can mess with it and put your own ISOs on it and
modify
so you can
how
run
the emulator works.
Like. Yeah, pretty much. Although, yeah, so like it's always like there's basically no security in it at all. Like there's the private. I think I read something that was like the private keys that you would normally use to lock down firmware are on the device, and that's not you're not supposed to put them on the device. It's they're just there, and you can get at them, so you can do what you want with it. But I don't know, is like the number of people have taken that to mean it's like this is just further bullet pointing that Sony really didn't care about this thing.
Yes, it's clearly just an emulator in a box.
Yeah.
More so that it was really obvious that it already was. It's literally just an emulator in the box because you can access all the menus and do emulator things with it.
I mean, there's some really great videos out there about how bad this thing is. Like you can't run Ridge Racer very well. Ridge Racer, it doesn't run Type 4 particularly great. It like has sound glitches. It does. Like this is not a knock, I don't think, against PCSX 2 Rearmed. I think that, or sorry, not 2. 2's the PlayStation 2 version of it, but like PCSX Rearmed is supposed to be actually not bad. But there's just something about how they're doing it here that just seems
it's
poorly executed.
Probably constrained by hardware to some extent.
Yeah,
you're cramming as much hardware as you can into a very small box.
So the funniest thing I saw was and I don't know if this is real or not, but someone supposedly hacked a SNES Classic, put a PlayStation emulator on it, and put the same games in it, and it ran better.
That's funny.
So you can hack the SNES Classic to be better than the PlayStation Classic. That's pretty great. I like that.
That's funny.
It also led me down the rabbit hole of at some point I want to get reinvestigate PlayStation emulation and because there's some movement in that field that I haven't been paying attention to. Particular shout out to this thing called Beetle PlayStation, I think it's called, because they do the thing that you want to do, which is stop all that texture warping. Make the games look like they're nice and crisp.
The texture warping is what makes it look like.
It's something that makes it look like a PlayStation game for sure, but you can get rid of that if you want. Clean it up. So I might investigate that, see how good it is. That's pretty much what I got for news.
Okay. Did we want to talk about?
Interesting to me. There's more news, but there's. Yeah.
Okay, well that'll do for news then.
What you got? What you got? You sounded like you were leaning towards.
I just had that Street Fighter thing. Did we mention that?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was umming and ahhing about whether or not to mention it because I'm not. I don't know how much of a thing it is.
No.
So they've gone down the route of if you want, you can opt in to seeing adverts plastered all over the stages.
Right, you opt into it, do you? Okay.
Yeah, I believe. And then
you can definitely opt out anyway.
Yeah. It's totally optional, but with it there, you will gain additional fight money just for the ads being there. It doesn't affect the fighting, it doesn't affect the flow of the game. It's just the ads are on screen as part of the scenery. I don't have good experience on how egregious that really is and how bad that really looks, but people are pretty annoyed with it. It seems to be the reaction. It's this is a bit much.
Fair enough.
I mean, it reeks a little bit because of the problem that monetizing a paid for game has, right? Although Street Fighter 5 kind of has tried to walk that line of being like a free to play, but also with a paid entry, but maybe the entry's a little bit cheaper, and then you buy season packs on top. Blah 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 blah. So they've been trying weird stuff with Street Fighter, but this is just another one that doesn't sit right. I think. I'm not sure I disagree with the idea. I think it'd be totally reasonable. I think to put a fighting game out that perhaps has ads in the background, and that's a way of making it cheaper or making it a free to play game to some degree. I kind of, and Street Fighter seems to be the one where it would fit, right? Or King of Fighters maybe, something like that, because it's not far-flung future or not super crazy universe stuff.
Right.
It's not like Dragon Ball. You wouldn't really want ads in your Dragon Ball.
Well, I mean, the problem it might run into is like depending on the stage. Like if you imagine like a Street Fighter like Blanca's stage or something, where you're in a random jungle and there's just like coke all over the place or something.
Yeah.
Well,
weird.
that's probably a fairly decent like comment on the world as we see it now.
Well,
like,
yes.
Coke is everywhere.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's in the jungle.
Wherever you go, there will be a fake Nike T-shirt.
Well, that would be funny if it was fake.
It'd be like that shirt I found in Japan where I had like 50 eyes. Like, die! Yeah, so I don't know how outraged I am. It's optional at least, so, whatever. Let them experiment.
I mean, if it's optional and it gets you fight money, it's just like that's just that kind of a logical thing for not quite a free-to-play game, right?
Yeah.
You're essentially just paying a small amount of your brain power to get a small amount of money back. Small amount of your self-worth by watching adverts. Instead not really watching.
I heard games like FIFA and stuff do ads these days. Like, do they have them in? Because like obviously that's like a feature of a football stadium, right?
Yeah,
like,
just on the hoardings.
Like, are they?
Well, at least
like,
now
are the ones in FIFA like real ads that are just like agreed to be in that version of the game,
I
or
don't know
are
if
they,
I've
like...
seen it recently.
Yeah,
they have the EA logo all over the place.
Of course.
But that's in real football as well. So
That's
sure.
true.
That's
I
actually
you can turn them off because they're like distracting now in on modern. Because now their screens they move, and they didn't used to, and it's like that would be annoying if that was in the game and they were moving around and you were trying to play the game just for the sake of realism. It's like,
it wouldn't be any worse than watching actual football.
No, I know,
because
but
the camera angle is basically the same.
Yeah, I know, but
it's only annoying in real football in replays because the high-speed cameras show that it's a flicker.
Flickers, yeah,
everything, yeah.
Or like, that's that's the thing, like LED lighting in stadiums and stuff like that. They like some of them you can see the flicker like on a slow motion shot anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like just the whole light of the scene is flashing.
Well, it used to be when they were static adverts, all of the brands were next to each other, right? But now they take slots, right? But they take over the whole stadium.
I guess, because it's just like where do you want do you want like the back left corner where the camera's on it a lot of the time?
Yeah, exactly. But
that's
that's
where the
gone
good
now,
adverts
right?
are.
Right, because they're dynamic and they just take over the whole stadium for like
a lot of them.
seconds.
The whole ring of screens will turn to like that Vitality Dash and
that
chasing
dog.
thing. Yeah,
you just see that all the time.
Or like a car just drives around the stadium, right? Because they've animated it in a specific way so it overlaps.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen what that looks like in games recently.
No,
because we don't play.
Probably looks like real life.
Played like 5 years ago or something, right?
the only thing I really remember was like obviously like Fight Night Round 3 was filled with Burger King ads. Like that was its thing. Like,
yeah, that's always the thing, isn't it? Like in games with built-in advertising, is there's only one or two brands, so it's like super repetitive, like a New York race.
and Fight Night had the problem that
New York race wasn't that repetitive.
That wasn't too bad.
Although a lot of them were fake brands,
and it was things that were in the film as well, weren't they? They
all fake future versions of things.
Yeah,
like cars.
The Burger King thing was a little more egregious because they had historical fights in Fight Night and had the modern Burger King logo and the historical fights.
Man, if only they put historical Burger King, that would have been
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't think that through. Yeah, I'm sort of with you there. It would have been nice to see the old logo, an old logo. Maybe they went around and hit it as historical as some of these fights were. I don't know how old Burger King is.
It's not like the historical fights in a modern boxing game go back to like the 1800s or anything.
Ye olde burger.
Right. Okay, ads and games. That's the end of news. It's time for what you've been playing. Right. We're going to execute our plan as discussed. What are you playing, Rob?
No, that's not. Well, I guess Rob's also to some extent.
Yeah, let's do Red Dead. Let's get this done. Right, let me tell you where I am first of all, just so you get an idea of of progress. I'm now in chapter 3.
Good.
The camp has been moved.
Yep.
And I've robbed a bank.
Okay, a bank in the small town or in a big city?
In Valentine. I've done one bank.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. Good. I know where you are. By the way, I still haven't finished it. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is starting to become apparent. Like, I now know how many chapters there are on this. Like, someone told me how many chapters there are on this thing. It's like, oh god.
Well,
like,
apparently, yeah. I mean,
I've got loads left.
I mean, like 5, and apparently this is the longest chapter. Anyway,
I still don't think I've hit the stride. It still doesn't feel like I've hit the stride. I've got out of the lack of story. Like I need something to push me forward. It's not there. I'm actually getting fatigued.
Like a thingy to happen in the story. Yeah.
I
think you're actually you're in the I think in the sweet spot for like the exploration part. And in the so you're in the lack of story middle bit, which is actually the good.
But I haven't had a start of story.
Right,
really.
right. Well, that's just it. Well, you have had the start of story. It's just that's it.
Right.
But then there is a lot of story later, obviously. But you're in the kind of zone where you've got a decent camp and you can go do side stuff. Especially that that robbing the bank in Valentine is almost like a big side mission, really, because you don't even do it with, you just do it with a couple of mates, right, from the camp.
It Bill and Karen and
it doesn't it doesn't actually change anything really apart from giving you actually money for the first time.
It's like, oh, that's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
I've now bought a lot of stuff in camp.
Yeah, now you can have fun for a bit. Yeah. But
that's the thing. I don't think I'm necessarily having much fun. Like, I still don't feel like I've progressed enough to the point where doing the world stuff necessarily feels right yet. I don't know. Right. So I picked up some of the rifles I was talking about before. So I've got like a varmint rifle, so I can now perhaps go after some of the 3-star pelts for some of that stuff if I really want to.
If you want to, yeah.
But this is the thing, yeah, like, because hunting is so awkward, it's not just like finding a thing anymore and shooting it. It's like, you've got to find a thing, shoot it with the right weapon. Yeah. Oh, the thing I shot wasn't a 3-star one, balls. And it's like and like so many things can happen to like disrupt a hunt.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
disrupt anything, really.
Yeah, it's like, it's not that fun. Like, or not that. The intrigue factor is gone a little bit because now it's just annoying because it's like, well, I want to actually do these things so I can get the stuff. But the process of doing them isn't entertaining.
I can't be bothered with the hunting too much.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame. I mean, it's kind of cool that it's more involved. Like, I definitely did a lot more of it in the first game, but I like that. But it was a bit stupid, right? Whereas this actually has
to be a jag there, gun it.
Yeah, exactly. It was dumb. And just being attacked by cougars randomly constantly, which is hilarious. I mean, that does happen in this game, but not quite in such an insane way.
I got killed by wolves. I don't know where they came from, but they just jumped me, and it's like, oh, yeah, no.
Wolves are fucking dangerous in Red Dead 2. But yeah, I like the concept of the hunting and they obviously set out to make it more like real hunting, more involved, and have all these mechanics. But unfortunately, they just layered it too thick unless you like really into that. I bet if you were like an actual hunter and like enjoyed hunting, you might be into hunting in Red Dead, but in 2. But I'm going to carry on doing missions.
But it's slightly weird that the way they introduce it at times is also. When they introduced the deer hunting, the first bit of hunting you do, and they're like, oh yeah, shoot it with a bow in the head, and it's like the bow in the head actually, as it turns out, isn't the 3-star way of killing a deer. It's like almost teaching you the wrong thing.
Yeah,
it's like no, you want a long scope rifle, right? And even then, like the little tips don't really tell you where like it's like the where to shoot it thing becomes not a thing at some point. It's like if you just use the right gun, it's like, oh well, there you go, problem solved.
There is a thing later on where the Deadeye gets upgraded again so that it highlights like important areas in.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, kind of interesting. Yeah.
That's what I know. I'm just finding that whole system super irritating to engage with, and it's like I want the stuff, but. I don't know if I want to deal with that system.
The stuff isn't that important though. Like
no, it's really not. It's not all that nice. But like there's one satchel, isn't there, at the bottom of the queue where it's like increase your holding space for everything.
Like legendary satchel of doom. Yeah, that's going to be really painful to get to that. I think.
Yeah.
Unless you're really enjoying it, don't think it's worth it.
Or just some of the other crafting upgrades in camp. I don't know what they do, but I kind of want them. And it's just like And then you got the legendary animals as well, of which I haven't come across any more.
Now that
yet,
I probably will do.
They seem more potentially engaging than the rest of it.
Definitely.
But I still don't quite know what to do about, because I found quite a few legendary fish locations, but it's like, okay, have I got the right stuff? I don't know.
All right, you need the right lures and stuff, don't you, to get them?
Yeah, because I've only got one lure at the moment, and it's like, is there more? I don't know. Like, I've got plenty of baits, but it's like, but they're not for.
I think you get further
fish,
lures inside or story missions. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, like some of the baits have only been unlocked once you've gone and done a mission with it. I'm still getting the odd glitch here and there as well, which is sometimes super irritatingly. Sometimes they're fine. I had bits of a stagecoach not render once, so they were just dudes sitting on a hopper platform, which was kind of funny.
That's hilarious.
And it's like, that's fine, I can deal with that. But then I have had a couple of missions play out wrong, where something that's just gone out of sequence, and so something like that
feeling
that
when
fishing mission with the where you get the crickets, for instance, that just stopped. There was a point where Javier asks you, "Do you want to go back or do you want to carry on?" I'm going back. Do you want to carry on? But he's supposed to walk away from the platform, and you're supposed to be able to target him to answer the question.
Right.
He didn't move. He suddenly became frozen in place, and I couldn't target him, so I couldn't answer the question. So I was like, well, I guess that's done with then. Went away and back to camp so I could, put my fish in and things like that. And then I realized it's like, oh no, the mission's still active. It still wants me to talk to her. Oh, it's stuck, isn't it?
It's stuck forever. Shit. Yeah.
Crap. I better go back. The save, in the end, it was I lost half an hour, so it wasn't the end of the world, but it was that's still pretty irritating. And a game that's this long to repeat any amount of it is.
Yeah, exactly. Is quite galling. Yeah, I've only had one mission get stuck, and it was quite early into the mission, so it wasn't too bad. But it took me a while to figure out that it had got stuck, you know, because it's just it's an completely open world, right? And it's just the guy just stood there, and it's I didn't know how to trigger the next bit of the scripting.
What's supposed to happen now?
It took me a while to because it was search the house for something. And I was and I found all three things that it wanted me to find, but then it didn't trigger the next part of the mission. It was do I need to keep looking? What the fuck's going on? It took me
There's nothing else. There's nothing else in this house.
I looked through it 3 times. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. For a game of this type, moments like that strike me as a little bit that's. You're a top tier game, right? I'd sort of understand if some of your open world stuff was janky, but the actual missions, this stuff's got to be tight, man.
Yeah.
When it's this big a deal, when it's this big a game, for it to still be cocking up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes as I say, with that fishing thing, it's such a simple thing. It's it's literally almost just a time-based trigger that just didn't go to plan.
Quite right. But in 70 hours of whatever scripted stuff, yeah, for me, it's gone wrong.
Sure.
Once, but still, it's not good. I agree.
Yeah, I am starting to see encounter repeats as well. That's starting to happen. Yeah, the snake bite guy I've seen a few times now.
Right, because when I first started, I was like, shit, these don't repeat, and then eventually they start to. But I think it does keep track internally. It obviously has some state of you've done that one, so I won't do that one.
Yeah, the thing is if you go to the progress section of the thing, it seems to suggest that there's actually not that many. I have 25 different encounters, or I have 25 encounters, and it's I actually think there's more than what it lists in that progress thing. It's just that they've sort of weirdly lowered their level required to 100% a Rockstar game, that old thing.
I guess because they're random, it would be really frustrating to get all of them, right? Yeah.
So they've kind of made it so it's you actually don't need to do everything. You just need some of this stuff to have happened in a certain way, or a certain amount of it to have happened, and it's it's fine. If you're going for that 100%, it's you've seen it. It's cool.
Exactly.
Which is smart. That's a sensible way to approach it. It's the gang ambushes. They don't expect you to have seen all the different types. It's just if you've been ambushed, that's fine. You've seen that. Cool. Check it off.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I'm getting a bit I guess I'm getting just tired at this point, and it's like, so I'm going to shift to just mainlining. And
Yeah, I would do that. I
That's
mean,
it.
the story does accelerate at a point in the middle.
Mm.
Well, it does a thing, right? So, there's that. And then, so I've played past that, and I'm getting towards the end now of the main story, I think. Although apparently there's quite a big epilogue, so which is cool. But it's just, I mean, now I want to play it just to see how it ends, and it's good in that it has actually gripped me now in terms of like the character.
Okay, good.
The story has gripped me, but on the other hand, as you'll find out, it is just so grim. It's.
But I'm kind of okay with that.
Hell, like it's a kind of a little bit of like prequelitis, like because you already know from 8 years ago that Dutch is going to go completely off the deep end, right? And he's going to end up getting killed by John Marston at the top of that mountain. So it's kind of a little bit prequelitis, like, and also kind of like going into even at the start, you know that like it's obvious that like Dutch is. He may at that point he's still like compos mentis, right? He's still like
so the character's now openly talking about like, hey, are you okay with like the direction Dutch is going in these days? And it's like they are now discussing it and things,
starting
like
to discuss it, right? Whereas Arthur is like he seems quite gullible at first, like or not. I guess they've been together for a very long time, and he's always trusted him, and they are like family.
I think you get hints of that fairly early on. Like Dutch seems to like question Arthur's loyalty fairly early on, and it's like, which suggests that maybe there's some stuff we haven't seen prior to the game where Arthur's been a little more questionable in his actions, and
exactly.
Of course we don't know anything about the boat really at this point in the game,
in Blackwater.
Yeah.
And so if you play it like Honor, which is what I've done or whatever, then he is kind of performing himself and starting to question what's going on with Dutch. But it's quite painfully slow at first, especially where you are in the story. It's like, come on, cotton on to what's going on, pay attention, because clearly this guy is going nuts. But like as it couple of twists happen, which are kind of cool. And then like it starts to go into, oh god, I can see where this is going, right? Starts to get really, really bleak, basically. But it does build a kind of momentum, at least, which is good. But it gets like, it goes dark, basically. So,
but that's cool. But yeah, as I say, I just need something at this point. I almost don't care what it is. It's like there's a couple of there's one storyline in particular that I think actually might have legs to it at this point, where it's like, I don't know, the relation that I've done. Minor spoilers, I suppose, but I've done the mission with Miss Adler.
Right. So she's got an arc, right? Yeah.
Yeah, where she suddenly like has a role to play, and it's like, oh, okay, this is an interesting twist. I like where this is going,
which is kind of cool.
There's some things rolling around in my mind, like the potential for where that could go, and it's like, okay, great, you've done something with that character that I actually find genuinely quite interesting.
Yeah, that's quite good.
and could be twisted in some great ways. But everyone else, and it's like, this is I sort of my problem. It's like it's a really big cast.
It is, yeah.
And at this point in the game, I really don't feel like they've done a lot with everyone.
It's almost slightly, even for the big size of the game, it is slightly too big a cast, I think. For the camp.
There's been a mild evolution in like Arthur and John. Like they seem to be getting on a bit better
Arthur and John,
than they were. Than they were at the start.
But
of the
you
game,
already know that John's going to have an arc because he was in the previous game, right? So you know that John and his family, Abigail and Jack, have to
something
end up
happens
in a certain place, right? But like it's other characters, like there's a few of them that are a little bit kind of more expendable, right? Or
like what's the like, when you save Sean, it's like, do we really need to introduce another Irish guy? We've already got an Irish guy. Like, it sounds dumb, but there's a little bit of that, and it's like, why is Trelawney not part of your crew all the time? And why does he just randomly turn up every now and then?
He just randomly appears.
It's like, what is that about? Like, it's just. And I don't even think some of the strangers and freak stuff that you come across, like they haven't been all that interesting so far. It's like, okay, I've just stumbled upon Margaret. I won't say any more than that, which was kind of like, okay, but just even they haven't been all that interesting. And if anything, they've been like irritating. Like, so I came across the guy who gives you the treasure map, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I know where that is. Like, I can see it from where he gives you the map.
Right.
So I went over there, and it's like, yeah, but what do I do here? It's like, I can't actually get to the point, I think, where the map is, like, pointing me at, and it's like, where do I actually don't know what to do with that, so I've just kind of ignored it. Like, it's like, okay, whatever. I don't know, just things like that. There's a lot about this game where it's just like, yeah, whatever, like, don't care, moving on. And I feel like I want to care, like, but I just don't.
I've had
it's
some.
Like, maybe
it's
that's
definitely
maybe
a bit. It's a bit patchy with the side characters because there's a good bit with some sort of nuns and stuff in the city, like later on. Which
I've not really been to Saint Denis in the story. I've been there accidentally.
Right, you'll get there in the story soon enough, and then that's good. And there's some good characters in there, but there's some very silly kind of rockstar type strangers and freaks in there too. But it's
not like the character interactions are bad. They're all quite well written, but I just don't think like anything has teeth yet. Like nothing feels like they were trying to. Nothing like has been quite as memorable as you know when you're doing that flowers mission in the first one.
Oh
right?
yeah, flowers for a lady.
It's a classic, man.
That is a classic. Yeah,
and there's nothing on that level yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that one is a classic, but it was because of the shock of it or whatever in that first game. Like it was like the tone. It was like it wasn't quite expected but the tone of this game is more that way, sort of in general. I think so. It would be
but even
less...
then, it doesn't really. It doesn't. I don't feel like it's done that. Like I don't feel it's done anything. It's not done either anything as cool as what happens in the first game, like fairly early on, even. Or has it done anything quite as meaningful as I think as some of the stuff that happens in Red Dead fairly early on? It's like it's not hitting the same marks for me. Like, in terms of its narrative weight.
Well, there's definitely a weight to the broad narrative eventually, but it takes quite a lot of getting there, I think. And also, it's like you know what's coming, so it's a little bit like, oh god.
Yeah, well, it won the Game Award for narrative design, so you know, I am. Don't get me wrong, I have hope still. It's just that I'm so many hours into this game, and it still hasn't done it. It's like that's.
I think that is deserved, but I mean that award probably. But then, I mean, there just aren't that many games with good narratives. I mean, and like this year, for example, that are big enough, right? I mean.
You got God of War and Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, I know, but are they? I think Red Dead probably deserves that narrative thing over those two. I would say probably, yeah, from where I'm standing now. But it is slightly bloated on the cast. I think I agree with you there. I mean, God of War is quite a focused story, but we'll talk about this in Game of the Year. But it's not got quite. I mean, thematically, I feel like it's not got as much depth. I don't think.
It's not like I feel like they can't do things with the characters. It's like most of the characters do have something that's interesting about them. Most of them. You know, like I can clearly see that they could do some even more off the rail stuff with Micah. I can like see that there might be some more
that's forthcoming for sure.
Yeah, of course. You know that's coming. But there's I don't know what, like Mary Beth. It's like it's sort of hinted at early on that there's like some sort of poetry connection maybe between Arthur and her, and it's like, but not really explored at this point. Why is Tilly there? Like
Tilly,
like seems completely unnecessary, other than to teach you dominoes at one point.
Yeah,
and it's just like I don't know. I'm not getting why half the characters are there. Like why they need to be there. Like it just doesn't. Like Molly there's only been one hint of anything to do with Molly's character, but that was quickly brushed aside by another character, like interrupting the what looked like it was going to be something interesting, and then it doesn't come to anything because someone else interrupts you, and she like just wanders off, and it's like,
I find that quite annoying when it's like it's a mission that's marked with a certain character, and then you go to it and like, I'm going to do a mission with this character, and then Dutch just wanders over and takes over, and it's like, it's really annoying.
And I'm like, I kind of I wanted to know what that was about. She obviously had a legitimate concern about something that I don't know about, and it's like, damn, that could have been something. And it's like, you're probably going to show it to me 20 hours later, and it's like, damn it.
Yeah, but it's intriguing. But it's slightly.
I think it's. I think it's, as I say, just because there's too much in that. Like it is a game that at the moment feels like it's suffering from too much, which isn't usually a criticism I would throw at things, but it's
just bursting at the seams, isn't it? There's just so much stuff, so many ideas, and so much, and it has some coherence to it. Like it's been sort of corralled into a shape, right? Beaten into shape, right? But I don't know. it's a bit overstuffed. I definitely agree there.
I do find it funny that I was robbing a bank though whilst wearing a sheriff's star.
I mean, that was cool.
That's kind of entertaining.
Yeah, I like that mission because it's a like a proper romp. It's the most cowboy thing you do, pretty much.
Yeah,
Bank and Valentine.
Although I did immediately sort of like just like my suspension of disbelief was broken. Like when it was like, oh, we've just robbed a bank, yet somehow there are people knowing that we robbed the bank in front of us. You know, it does that game thing where it has to throw guys on horseback at you, and it's like, but how do the guys? Like, it's not like they mobile phoned ahead to ring like this horse posse to come get us ahead of us, and it's like, what? And I haven't figured out a decent way of like shooting behind me or anything like that. That. Like, so how do you do what the other characters are doing in those scenarios other than just ride the horse, which is what like the primary thing in that game is like, I don't want to just ride the horse. I want to do things.
I mean, I just run out of Deadeye constantly. I don't really know.
The Deadeye limit seems ridiculous. It's like I want to be using it. I never use it now. Like I actually never use it because I feel like the moment I do is like I've wasted it. And most of the time I get the controls wrong for using it. Like I'll fire it. I'll fire off the so I've got the manual target thing now. So I'll mash those on targets, and then I'll forget to pull the actual trigger button to actually fire, and I'll have just wasted meter. And it's like, and then I'm put in a worse situation than I was. But oh god damn it! It's like Deadeye feels rubbish now.
Well, I found like I constantly eat the tobacco to get me more Deadeye, even if it kills my Deadeye core, because I don't really care about that because it doesn't seem to do anything for me.
No, it doesn't seem to charge that.
No, it doesn't seem to charge. So
yeah, like I thought the core was supposed to cause it. Maybe that's a bug. I don't know. Like I thought it was supposed to charge. Like having core was the point.
But it's never going to charge it while you're.
But it never regenerates.
Not during a fight, anyway, does it? No. So I
don't think it ever regenerates.
Yeah, I don't find much. It's just like an extra reserve for Deadeye, so you might as well just keep spamming the. And I think there's some kind of audio cue that you're going into your core now.
It gets like the tone gets like a bit more the background tone of Deadeye gets like serious. So it's like whoa no.
But I'm like I don't care. I'm going to use it up and then eat some stuff and get some more. And then also it's like I always try and go. Rather than spamming a bunch of targets onto people, I just try and get each person's heads for a start. But it's actually really swimmy trying to get the cursor over to the next person's head.
And everyone's
so
tiny.
Fucking annoying. Yeah,
like there's no zoom on it, so like because it's exacerbated by the fact that everything happened. Maybe I should go into first person more to do some of this stuff.
Maybe.
But like you're aiming at such tiny things all the time. It's like
it's and with quite swimmy aiming. That's what I find annoying. If it was precise aiming, I wouldn't mind that they were tiny, really, or so much. Or
so overall, I think I'm still whelmed. By this, like I'm not.
It's still beautiful, though, isn't it? That world.
Oh yeah. Like, if you just want to look at it, amazing. But
I've had some missions lately, even though the part of the world that we've ended up in is like quite grim. Like there've been some missions up in the mountains with like the Indians, and there's a bit where you just walk around up there, like, or you just go around on your horse up there, just while he's like picking plants or something. And it's just insanely beautiful on like a dark night where you can see the stars and stuff, and you can look down and see the whole valley and everything, and you can see the city in the distance and everything. And it's like, this looks incredible. This is so atmospheric and cool. And then
have you? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to try. I'll try not to spoil this, but I'm going to say it in the most subtle way I can. Have you come across like a group of dudes with fire at night? Man, that was fun.
yeah, obviously.
I know there's more of it to come. Like
there's a few bits.
I was spoiled on it, but yeah, that was entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many cool little things in it, but like it just doesn't. I don't know. It's like I said the first time around. It's just need to get the gameplay. I tell you what I thought. It's that
focus, guys, focus.
What they're really good at improving what they're already good at to the point where it's got insanely beyond any other developer. But they're really bad at improving stuff they're bad at.
They don't seem to recognize their own weaknesses.
They need to balance out. Because the stuff they're good at is getting way, way out there, incredible, and the stuff they're bad at just stays bad, and the contrast just gets more and more stark.
It's odd because normally I would like, I don't know, that's the general advice of the world is like find what you're good at and master it, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, Rockstar seem to have done that. They found what they're good at and they have mastered it. But the problem is that it's packaged in an open world game. Right, and like the open world game kind of has to do a lot of things right to be a balanced experience.
Yeah,
and it's not a balanced experience. It's like it's an occasionally very impressive and occasionally very disappointing experience. It's like it's all over the place. Yeah, it's a little bit like playing Metal Gear. Or Metal Gear 5, right? It's like I'm feeling a lot of those same thoughts here.
But I don't know. I had sort of sympathy for Metal Gear 5 because, like, I knew it was
clearly unfinished.
It was clearly unfinished, right? So I was like, "Oh, fuck it! Like, this is enjoyable."
Yeah,
like in its weird state.
It's a hilarious mess. Yeah,
it's a hilarious mess. I still think Metal Gear 5 is a great game, even though it's broken. And the second half of it is just repeating the first half's missions, which is just so silly. And it's like the story's bullshit and it's really sexist and all this shit. But, it's Metal Gear, Metal Gear can be silly. Like, I don't think
it somehow gets away with it because it's being silly. It's sort of intentionally silly. It's like there's no... but it's silly, like, with a po face. It's so strange, but it kind of works. Whereas,
so weird.
Yeah, this is serious to a T. Right?
It's fucking serious. Yeah, it's not much levity in it, really. I mean, there are in the side missions and stuff. Like,
sure, you could find some funny stuff. But...
Yeah, but in general, it's like probably the most po-faced it's ever been.
So I found this. There's definitely some stuff I don't know yet if I was supposed to find or not yet, because I found a shack in the swamp.
Right.
That I don't know. I wouldn't say it was too weird, but you walk into it and it's like just got red velvet almost over all the walls, and it's like, and clearly someone's been there, and it's like there's lit candles and things like that. But I couldn't find anything to do in it. And it's just like, well, this is odd,
mysterious.
So I left, and I went into the progress thing, and I found there is a section in there that's like labeled just shacks, like it's expecting you to find weird stuff in shacks, and there's like a count, but this didn't apparently count as one of them.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, okay, maybe there's something I'm supposed to discover later, but I've found it. Oh, also they need to sort out their bloody no. I managed to hunt. Yeah, more hunting rants. It's like killing stuff in water, not worth it because you won't pick stuff out of water, even if it's like foot shallow. Like you just won't pick stuff up out of water. It's like I killed a bloody 3-star crocodile, and I'm like, yeah, got one. I'm badass. Went to go and pick it up, and he's like, I won't pick it up. And I was like, what? Come on! I killed a cow and he went in a river, and then of course I couldn't get the thing out of it, and it's like, God damn it! A waste of time.
Oh well, never mind. Yeah. Okay, that'll do for Red Dead for the while. All we do is complain about it, but I'm still playing it. I'm gonna get through it.
There's a lot
even
to
if
be
it's
impressed
incredibly
about.
Grim. Yeah,
there's a lot to be impressed about, but there's more that I'm not impressed about, which is like at the moment. And but I have faith that some stuff will come good. I just it's just wearing me down a bit now. I need it to come good a bit faster.
Cool. Right, let's switch over to our game of the week.
Oh, unless Zach's got some other stuff he wants to talk about.
Well, I kind of had to play other stuff because my shoulder was still kind of annoying the whole during Smash Brothers week, so I kind of couldn't play that as much as I might have wanted to.
Oh, really? Is it actually affecting your?
Well, it's because it combines with my weird controller RSI, where I only really get RSI from controllers, not from like mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. I'm luckily, not luckily, I'm still getting RSI badly from like mouse and keyboard, but
not in the controller.
Not so bad for the controller, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I was like, I could that combined with my already slightly dodgy shoulder, I was like, I can't play this as much as I want. So I played other stuff. Although one of those things was still Rocket League, still got a little bit of that in. New Rocket Pass season,
Yeah, did it start this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
damn it.
maybe not the start of this week. At some point, it started.
I don't know if the stuff in the pack looks quite as interesting this time. Like,
I think it looks more usable.
I think it's more varied.
Yeah, that too.
But I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
It's not quite as like dumb looking in general. Like it's stuff that you could potentially make a theme out of.
Where's
There's
my
also
melons at?
watermelon skin, so now you can update to the watermelon car. Now you can have every part of it.
Yeah. Let me get my melons on.
But yeah, we haven't played that enough clearly because our rank has decayed again.
Yeah.
God damn it! Kim's has still been playing quite a bit.
I've not been about. So yeah.
Well, yeah. And I played quite a lot of Oxygen Not Included, which is not a controller. Went back to that. There's finally the first what they're calling quality of life update has happened, where it's not so much content but more fixing things. There's still actually a bit of content. But the main thing that they claim to have fixed is now the top of the asteroid doesn't get destroyed by meteors. Maybe.
Or so they just rolled that after adding the animal that repaired it.
Yeah, that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
As it turned out, I discovered when I got there. It's oh no, the top of the map is still fucked.
So they've just turned that off for now.
No, the meteors still do damage, but now they've configured it so because there's one type of meteor that creates new layers of rock, and so before I started playing, originally I only heard about this, but supposedly originally those meteors that dropped new tiles of rock, that was too much, and it was just filling up the entire top of the map. Yeah. So they're okay, we'll turn that down, but then we'll also create this animal that will compensate to balance it out. But that didn't work either. So now
shouldn't they just be a smart system? Be if it gets tall, stop adding.
But that's basically what they've done now.
Yeah,
they've made it so that when there's less of the rock there, and it creates more of the rock dropping meteors.
Doesn't sound that hard.
No. It's this seems like a problem that should have been quite easy to solve. Although arguably I'd say because of the meteors still being random, it gets that randomness to the layers of rock where it's you can get really tall spikes and then and you can get a hole if you're unlucky.
It's fine, but you just sort of average out the entire landscape, right, and be okay, we've got too much.
Yeah. Hopefully it will work sufficiently well. The main thing that's kind of important for that is that because of the way the top of the asteroid got destroyed before, that kind of affected the way that you'd progress through that sort of moving on to the top of the asteroid phase. Because it's there was meant to be a convenient layer of rock there, hot rock, I guess, sort of inconvenient in that aspect. But there was meant to be this whole hot layer of rock, but with the way the asteroids used to eat through it and start breaking into what would normally be internal biomes of the asteroid, it kind of messed up that progression through that, digging through the hot rock and having basically a layer that would shield you from the asteroids for a while.
I see, yeah.
Because the sort of basically the background of the asteroid disappears once you move into the space biome, so you get a vacuum which sucks all the oxygen and gases and liquids out. And normally you'd be able to get to that vacuum area and still be below the layer of the surface rock. So you could maybe use that to dump stuff before you actually got to the point of having to deal with the asteroids. Whereas in the old way, you'd have to shield yourself the moment you broke through into space, which was awkward and kind of annoying. But yeah, and then there was a few other additions in this quality of life patch that weren't necessarily just quality of life stuff. There was some improvements to UI and stuff, but there was also some new plants and stuff that spawn. Not really important plants particularly, mainly for decor bonus, not functional plants, I guess. And I don't care about decor. It's weird because there's this whole mechanic of you have to put up paintings and statues and stuff to improve the decor, and that improves.
Is it morale?
Yeah, it improves their morale. But the thing is, they have the little bonus for decor in their morale in the list of all the things that's changing their morale, and it's if it's bad, if you don't do anything, it's -1.
Okay.
Out of however many. At the start of the game, it's it does actually, you don't need to worry about morale at all. And then once you start assigning people to jobs, that defines how much morale they need to be happy. And it goes up 4, and then 8, and then 12, and then that's 12 is what you call sort of the mid-level jobs. And then most probably most of your people are going to end up at that layer. You don't really need to have everyone go on to like the 24s and 32 morale jobs. So 12 is like reasonable. So like having the bad decor be -1, but then like the food bonus be like there's quite easily made food that's like +8. It's like decor is almost completely irrelevant. And I'm not even sure what the bonus of the decor is because I've never got it to go above 0.
Right.
And it's just like it's a lot of building and you have to have an artist to actually make the art unless you're planting the plants because those are just free, I guess. But if you want to make paintings or statues, you have to have an artist. And it's just a lot of effort for not really much bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, it is free, I guess, once you've done it. It doesn't continuously require resources.
Right, yeah, once it's in the place, you've done it.
But the trouble is that because of the way it detects the decor, it's like it's based... It's like a continuous... As they move around the world, they continuously are seeing the decor of where they are, so it's like an average over their whole day of wherever they went.
Okay.
So you either have to completely cover your whole base with decor, or it's never going to counteract the places that aren't good.
Yeah. So does that mean you even have to make your like tasteful bathrooms and like this garbage dump? It's really, really good looking garbage dump.
Yeah, to some extent. Because I mean, my main problem and the reason why I never bothered was like, if you're doing centralized power, which is kind of a good idea, where you just use one of the like high voltage cables and then just branch off with transformers to run all your little rooms, because the high voltage cables can't go through tiles, except they can like bridge over one tile, but you can't run them behind a wall or whatever. And the high voltage cables have a massive negative decor penalty. So like the central, you want to run like a central cable, so I was putting that like up the middle of my base in like what is basically the elevator shaft, except it's a ladder. It's the bit where people go up and down to get to all the different floors. So it's just got this huge line of negative decor that everyone is constantly running backwards and forwards fast. It's just like, this isn't very helpful, and there's not really much you can do about it. You could use the fancier heavy voltage wire, which like reduces the penalty but doesn't get rid of it.
It's weird. There should be a certain amount of like, if they're not like in the transitional spaces, like corridors, like decor should count for less, I guess, because you're spending less time there.
Yeah.
Like, so if it's like on the elevator shaft, as you say, it's like it's a transitional space.
Theoretically, it should count for less because they're spending less time there. So theoretically, they'll be in and presumably you can balance it out by filling. And also, I just think it kind of looks dumb, where it's like, you've got your room where you like, for example, just like a bedroom or a mess hall where it's just like, here's all the tables where people sit to eat, and every other available space is covered in paintings and statues. And it just looks kind of stupid.
Yeah.
At least there's more options now, because previously there was like one type of painting and one type of statue. So one of the things they had in this last patch is like, now there's several different sizes of statue and painting, so you can at least vary it a little bit.
So it is a bit weird though. Maybe they should just be more effective so you don't build so many.
Yeah. Or like have options for like even higher, because really the different versions are just for different materials at the moment, or sizes. They aren't really for better, apart from I guess the metal statue, which does use refined metal, so presumably that gives you a lot higher decor bonus. But you should be able to like make a basic painting and then like have like a fancier version that's the same size but uses more materials for the better decor bonus or something. Maybe they'll do another pass on that, I don't know. But as I say, I don't really care about it because it's such a minuscule bonus in the grand scheme of things.
Weird.
But yeah, I started a new save because I wanted to see the new plants, really. But then, as I say, they're not really that relevant.
So when you like when they do an update, is it like you start again to get the new stuff? Is it like
it depends on what changed,
right.
Like because the new plants are based on the spawn, like the generation of the world. So you need to create a new map to have them spawn.
Got you.
So some things will be retroactive, like when the patch fixed the meteors. It's like when I loaded my old save, and it's like, oh, now the rock's starting to build up on the top.
For some reason I had it in my head. It would be a bit like Theme Hospital. It just adds it to the list of things you can put in a room. And just pop it down.
You do need to find them.
Yeah.
Limited resource. So yeah, I played some more of that in a new save. But it was also nice to go back to a new. The patch also did like improve the frame rate, I get, well, whatever. It improved how well the game ran.
Right, yeah, because you were starting to have problems with that.
Yeah,
right?
I was starting to have some problems, and it definitely made some improvement. And also, I did eventually decide that, yes, cleaning up all the crap on the top of the asteroid probably would help the frame rate.
Right, yeah.
Because I started doing some of that, so now I've just got like basically an entire floor that's just storage containers across the top of the asteroid to store all the stuff that was there. But then when I started a new save, and I'm like, holy shit, look how awesome this game looks when it's running at a full frame rate. All these animations are so smooth.
It's so smooth.
So yeah, yeah. And also the other reason I wanted to start a new save again was because of randomly generated maps. I was like, I can start a new map seed, because the one I was playing was because I'm doing it in the way that I do when eventually with these kind of games like Minecraft, where eventually you just say randomly generated seeds is all well and good, but you might as well just go through them in order, right? So I did seed 1 and now I'm on seed 2. And like seed 1 was, I mean, it's hard to say for sure because I haven't seen that many different maps, so I'm not necessarily certain, how good they are compared to each other. But seed 1 was definitely fairly nicely laid out, like the steam geyser, and there's 2 steam geysers for a start, and the natural gas geyser was quite easy to find as well. And I was like, okay, this is quite nice from my understanding of this game. But then it also had like 3 carbon dioxide geysers, and there's not really much you can do with those. And so that's like kind of wasted a geyser spawn essentially because they're random. Yeah. So I was like, the water is very important. So that was like, that's good. But the other stuff was not necessarily as good. So
is it like when you play Civ and you get a spawn where it's like, I got a lot of decent resources around me that I'm only going to get in the late game. And...
Yeah, kind of. Well, I don't think the Seed 1 map had any. None of the geezers I found were like really late game stuff like molten gold or anything. Not that, as it turned out, when I did an experiment with molten gold geyser, that's not actually as bad as it sounds. It says it comes
as
out.
Good as it sounds.
Well, because it says when you look at the geyser and it's like it erupts molten gold, it erupts like 300 grams per second at 1,700 degrees or whatever. And you're like, you're scared by that temperature, but because it's like actually a really tiny amount, it's not actually that much heat.
Right, it dissipates pretty quick.
Yeah, like it erupts molten gold, but it pretty much turns into solid gold immediately, just from the atmosphere. So it's not actually as bad. I mean, it would probably still build up quite a lot of heat over time. You'd have to deal with it to some extent, but not. It's because it just says the temperature in like degrees rather than thermal units, which a lot of the other stuff. Because it's a temperature in degrees, not a amount of heat over time. You'd have to use those numbers to calculate it and be like, right, yeah. How much is that actually? But yeah, so I went on to Seed 2 to see if it would see what else I could find, and Seed 2 seems more difficult at the start of the game because it's got a much worse starting area. Like there's not as many wild plants, so you can't rely on wild plants for food as much as Seed 1 seemed to have. And I'm not sure. I haven't really found any of the geysers yet. I just found the natural gas and the water geyser, so I know where those are. Those ones are
no top geysers.
Those are like set spawns. The water and natural gas.
Top geyser.
But I haven't really seen any of the other ones. So yeah, playing that still.
Cool, yes. Is it Smash time?
Yes, it's Smash time.
Smash time!
Let's talk about that.
Let's get hype.
Yep.
Get hype for Smash.
Well, you don't need to get hype any longer. It's out.
I'm still hype. Because I haven't been able to play it all that much. This is a bit of a problem since it came out. But,
yes.
The ultimate smashing of superb brothers.
Super brothers.
And sisters. And everyone.
Everyone is here.
Everyone's here.
Except they're not yet.
Yeah.
There's some DLC to come.
Well, and also we haven't actually unlocked them yet.
yeah, because boy, it's quite a bit of work to unlock all these characters, man.
Well, it depends how you're doing it, though, of course.
Yeah, but even still, like, it's like, so what is it, like, supposedly, like, if you're playing just straight up matches, it's like roughly every 9-ish minutes, or...
It's like 3 matches for us.
Yeah, like, every, like 8 or 9 minutes or something, you'll get a challenger pop up, but then you have to actually beat that challenger, and then it'll be unlocked, and... but that's the primary way of doing it. But you can also go through the adventure mode, and then anyone you manage to unlock in there is also unlocked in your roster,
which is way slower.
Things like that. But yeah, that takes forever. So yeah, just getting hold of the character. Like I don't know what I reckon I've got like half of them right now. I think I've still got loads to go.
I don't know, it might be more than half.
I mean, maybe, but yeah. Still feels like a sizable chunk still to go. I think I've got a lot of echoes and things I haven't got and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't like some of the initial worries I suppose going into this version were that it's going to come out and just be, I don't know, like a ported version of the Wii U one to some degree, because that's what Nintendo seem to have been doing a lot of recently, and it's like. But no, as soon as you start really getting your hands on it and things like that, it does feel fairly different to the Wii U version, just in the way things move and in the way the new launch momentum feels. When you actually get hit and you're flying along the screen, it feels very sudden now, where it didn't before. You move almost to the when you get launched, it's like you seem to move to the point where you would be recovering a lot faster, and then it slows down. So it's like you sort of go what what, rather than it being a sort of more of a way, if that makes sense. In the other ones, it's like you launch fast but recover at the same speed. It's so strange. It feels
that sort of sounds good. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a total layman on this, but yeah.
But yeah, it's not like it makes a huge difference. I don't think, but it just feels a little different to play as a result, which is, for long-time smashers like Zach and myself, it's I guess that's kind of an interesting little wrinkle. It's something to get used to, something neat there. And the stage selection is enormous, and it's nice to see some stuff come back, and it's nice to see what they've been doing with all the hazard off stuff is interesting. It makes some stages playable, or less annoying.
What is that?
Things like that. So hazard off means if the stage had random things that could happen that would kill you.
It has
instance,
something,
not
a
necessarily
sign pointing towards it, does it?
Well, the Mega Man level had a giant boss that would appear on it, for instance.
But it also had platforms that could appear.
Oh, so do they actually get turned off in the Mega Man stage?
I'm pretty sure they do, because I'm fairly sure when we played it, the Yellow Devil appeared, but then the platforms appeared afterwards. It's like they both turn on and off during the match.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff, some levels where the hazards off has had more of an effect than others.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm actually tempted to leave hazards on, and just play it that style.
Yeah.
And just not play the levels that are really annoying.
Well, we already turned off several.
Yeah, we made the cut immediately and be like, no, not that one, not that one, not that one. But it's but there are so many that that's not such a big deal. So almost every item that's ever been is back, and there's a load more. Almost every assist that's ever been is back, and
laser swords everywhere.
Yeah, so if you were just coming into this wanting the most Smash, yeah, it delivers. Obviously, no, nothing bad to say. It looks. It's not just the way they've up-resed a lot of stuff as well, even from the Wii U version. So there's some of the stages have a little bit more detail going on. Some of the old stages they've brought back, they've reworked. I'm particularly fond of what they've done with the N64 stuff, because they haven't just used the N64 graphics. They sort of have, but they've touched it up in a way that makes it look still like the N64 one, but not as rough as the N64 one did.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like a thoughtful retouch. So that's really nice. To the point where they brought back the original N64 versions of the music in a lot of cases as well. Sometimes again subtly retouched, so they sound a little bit better than they would have done. But
I was slightly disappointed when I listened to some of the N64 tracks. I was like, this doesn't really sound it's not like they're not emulating the sound chip well enough.
Yeah, it's not quite as crunchy in places, as the N64 would have been. And in some cases, I think that sounds better. In other places, it makes it sound a little bit almost too clean, right?
Yeah.
Almost too cheap, because it's it's running on proper hardware. You can hear the lack of tone, I suppose, that was in the original mix. And if we're complaining about sound, it doesn't seem like that game has a surround mix at all, which is a bit of a shame. It's everything is just it's purely designed for stereo.
Does the Switch even have a surround mix?
Yeah, it does. The Switch supports surround. Because you can go. It's one of the few consoles that has a surround sound test, and it's boy, every console needs that. It's really useful. So it's the little touches where they have improved things are meaningful. Like lighting it seems to have had a bit of an overhaul as well. Like more of the actions actually cast a proper bit of light in the area, like not fudged in some way. Like fire, for instance, will cause a nice glow that will affect characters and items and the stage around it, and little details like that everywhere just make the experience feel better. I don't know, even down to like the little, like when I love the flourishes in the character selection now. Like, like just that little bit of like while it's loading, it's like let's have a fighting game style. These characters are fighting each other, fire and brimstone around the edges, ba-boom kind of thing. It's like just the way all that's presented is like a notch above what they've done before. So
sweet.
So that the whole thing is lifted by just these little touches. But that's kind of like, without this becoming too much of a Rob review, because I think like what you're getting into if you're playing Smash, right? It is a platform fighter, blah 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 blah, tons of stuff. Everyone beats it. It's as good as it's always been, maybe a little bit better because of all these little touches. But then, like, the main place to have discussions is around all the new stuff, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
And this is where I actually don't think like the Wii U version before it, I don't think this is the ultimate, shall we say, around the edges. Like, I kind of like what they've done with classic mode this time, which is that each character has its own, like the set of fights you're going to have are fixed for that particular character. It's like their story, for instance.
I mean, that's how it used to be, but wasn't the last game.
Yeah, but they do a little more with it this time. It's like certain fights will be, the boss. There's more bosses, like more. Like
there's
designed
necessarily
boss
more
fights.
Bosses. It's just like now they're just using them in classic.
There's definitely a lot more bosses than there were before. Like,
not in Brawl, because that's where most of those bosses come from.
I don't know. I feel like there's more, or at least they're expanded upon and things like that.
So maybe Ganon, I guess, and Rathalos.
Yeah. What about Marks or like the Kirby bosses? Like, I don't think I've seen that before.
Oh no, I guess that one, because did they do DDD as a boss before? I mean, before he was a character. I don't actually remember that long ago.
No, I don't know. Actually, yeah.
Or did they just use Meta Knight in that game? Probably just Meta Knight.
Because both Meta Knight and DDD were introduced in Brawl, though, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So they were just characters.
Yeah, I guess they just would have been, or maybe just giant.
Yeah,
the classic
maybe.
Way.
Yeah, just make them big. But yeah, you like Giga Bowser
Yeah.
who isn't even a playable thing in Smash this time around because they've changed his final Smash, right? So
Yeah.
like Giga Bowser is now like as a boss kind of makes a bit of sense. I don't know. I kind of like that there's these fixed things so they can be like the score progression makes a bit of sense and I wish the bonus stage was a bit more different per character. I miss the fact that we don't have target smash from Melee. Like that is still one of the best ideas they've had to not only give you like a target, like you've got to smash the targets, but in order to smash those targets, you've got to use the character's abilities to traverse the environment to get to the targets. And it's like that was a really smart thing they did back then, and it's still a shame that they haven't gone back to that in a meaningful way. But yeah, I like it. I like the change to how the intensity works. It's like it's going to be a little annoying if you are actually gunning for that 9.9 because you can only start at 5, which is like a difficulty rating. You start at like 5.0, but if you do the fights really well, the difficulty increases faster as you go through the fights. The most I've had it move in one go is a 1.0 move. I've managed to pull that off once. But most of the time you're moving like 0.4, 0.5, making like over the 6 or 7 odd fights in it. Like I forget how many. Like that a classic progression is. Getting to 9.9 is going to be really hard. And then of course there's a challenge for doing that. And it's like, damn it,
just use a hammer.
Just use a hammer.
No, because you need to save all your hammers for the online achievements.
Yeah, true.
Because who's going to play fucking 500 online matches or whatever the hell it says?
Well, given that I didn't mention this in news, but given that Smash Online apparently isn't very good, like, and is suffering from quite a lot of like lag and poor connections and not listening to player preferences.
I mean, well, not listening to player preferences. They already said what that was about. They pointed that out well in advance, and everyone knew that was how it was going to be. And then so now suddenly everyone's shocked.
I don't know. Is it forgivable for like 4 1v1 wanting matchups to get matched into a 4-on-4 all item game? It's like that seems like you've got like two matches there ready to go, and it's just not done it. Like
maybe, although no, because that can't happen though, right? Because
apparently it has.
Well, no, because if any one of those people have 4v4, then it becomes that because it chooses from the people's preferences.
But that's what I mean. That's the problem. It's not been doing that, and it's quite wide. It's quite
I
reported.
don't believe that at all.
Okay, I've heard it from several sources now.
But how would they know? How would you know all 4 of those people had set it to 1v1?
Apparently, you can talk, right? There's some amount of
you can't talk though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
you literally can't talk because it's Nintendo.
It's been reported. That's all I'm saying, man. I believe it.
I don't believe it. I'm pretty sure that if any one of those people had set their thing to 4v4, then yes, it could turn into a 4v4.
But then why didn't it split the 2 that were 1v1 into that?
Well, that is more like then it would be looking for local players and wanting to fill up the server that had already chosen to be a 4v4. That would still make sense.
I don't know. Matchmaking aside, this like apparently the lag is a real issue.
I don't think it's that bad.
Time to fight apparently has been pretty long for some players.
Yeah, that didn't seem that bad either.
Yeah,
probably depends. That one probably depends where you are because obviously it's prioritizing ping essentially.
Maybe I don't know. There's maybe you're the one that's had a good experience, but like the reports are generally bad about online.
It's just people whining because they want to play 1v1. Suck it up. It's Smash Brothers. But then in the second patch, anyway, they said they tried to turn the weighting slightly more towards preference. But they always said that it was going to be the primary thing that it was choosing to matchmake on was going to be ping because that's what you need. Ping is the most important thing. And despite that, there has been some games that have been laggy. I mean, the first game I matched into was pretty laggy. Although I get the feeling that again, this is Nintendo being Nintendo because obviously. It's clearly peer-to-peer. It's not servers or anything.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's how most fighting games do it.
Well, yeah. And I feel like maybe that first game I was hosting, and I'm on wireless, which, they said specifically in that Smash Direct, get a wired connector. And it's
they did specifically say that.
Screw you guys, as if I'm going to do that. But, that may have been on me. But I don't, even with the lag.
How do you connect the Switch to wired then?
USB.
Yeah, it's a USB dongle that then turns it into a wired internet connection.
Yeah, it's like £30 as well.
Oh, what? What the fuck? Okay, fine.
Because it's Nintendo.
Can you get a pack with like the GameCube adapter, controller adapter, and the Ethernet adapter, or whatever, or the stuff you need to play frickin' Smash?
Is there an extra USB port?
Yeah, there's one inside the
dock. Yeah, so
rather than the 2 on the side.
You could, in theory, run all of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, that first match I got into was pretty laggy, which may have been on me. But I don't think it came and went. That was the weird thing. It wasn't continuously laggy. There was just occasional bits where it got worse. And I didn't even find it to be that much of a problem, except for it sucks if you're playing a character that requires any kind of timing. Like, for example, I was playing for Wii Fit Trainer,
right?
Where you need to time your button push on like deep breathing, and you need to mash the button to recover better. And if the server's not seeing your inputs, particularly for the mashing,
or the serving player, whoever that works in ball player,
server, the not server seeing your inputs. But yeah, that kind of sucks. Although that game also sucked because of the first game I was playing Wii Fit Trainer because that's apparently my main now for reasons.
Okay,
but all the other 3 characters were just the Fire Emblem.
Oh,
it was Marth and Lucina and Ike, and I was like, well, this game is not going to be very fun for me.
How's the input lag in general? Like, I heard it's like 100 milliseconds just always.
Local.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's...
Don't even listen to reports about this. It's all the fucking hardcore Smash people being like, oh, frame data and shit. It's like, it feels fine.
Yeah.
Does it feel fine?
But playing locally, there's been zero problem. I thought I noticed a little bit of like lag when Zach and I messed around with the wireless local.
Well, I'm sure that, who's hosting that or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Presumably you were hosting because you were creating the room.
Yeah, I was the room host, but it felt a little off there. Not ridiculously, and it did seem like it got better as the match went on, or the matches that we were playing went on. But like at first, it felt off. Like it was like, oh, this isn't quite even on local wireless. This doesn't seem quite right.
Because when I heard that, it was like 100 milliseconds. That's like 10 frames. No, how many frames is that?
Like
whatever.
7,
quite, yeah,
6 or 7, yeah.
7 frames. Seems like quite a lot, but I don't know. Maybe it's me.
Maybe I suppose. You can never like depending on what kit they used and like what were they running it through. Like TV. Most TVs like if they're not configured right, run at that sort of refresh anyway. But,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Locally,
Perfectly
actually no problem with how it feels. Like it's
Okay.
it feels like Smash. That's all I need. Cool. Let's do the spirits and adventures stuff because
which is why I've been mainly Wii Fit. God damn it!
Oh, well, because you've got Wii Fit for adventure.
Well, okay, so this is what happened, and this is like my one big problem with adventure mode. You go in, you start off as Kirby. After about 5 fights, you get Mario, and
who's the more versatile?
who's more useful in general than Kirby. But the trouble, it sort of double stacks that by having the spirits you get, if not up to that point, then soon after, sort of favour Mario's moves anyway, where it's like kicks and punches and fire.
Well, I suppose
Kirby does technically have all of those as well, just not as prominently as Mario does. So if you're already preferring Mario because he's easier to use in general, or better moveset in general.
Yeah, just more standard, I suppose, quote unquote.
Yeah. Then you're sort of shepherded towards playing him anyway, which kind of makes it funny that it's like Kirby's the only one who survives for about 2 minutes and then you get Mario. And then it's just Mario. But then, so you get Mario, but then that's like the preview of the problem, which is that there's basically zero incentive to play any of the characters.
Yeah, you don't.
You can swap your spirits around to make different setups, and like there's a rock paper scissors between the different types of spirits or whatever. So you're constantly making different spirit teams if you can be bothered.
Rather than I've just taken to
or just
pressing Y,
button.
and have it picked for me.
But there's no incentive at all to use any characters, even though you're going through the world and you have to rescue all these fighters, and it's like you unlock them, and it's like I don't care. So that was why I went into Wii Fit Trainer, because I got even more spirits that gave me bonuses to kicks, punches, and then I was like, I can stack these and get rid of the fire bonus because Wii Fit Trainer doesn't have anything apart from kicks and punches, basically.
Yeah.
And because Wii Fit Trainer, the character itself has a move that you can do that also buffs your stats temporarily. So I'm just like, I can just make this as powerful as possible by stacking the stats buffs from the spirits and the stat buff from the character. And I was like, this is working way too well. Why would I ever use anything else?
You're not trying to do the thing where like you like purposefully downgrade yourself to try and get more
in the spirits, yes, but then like that's only based on the base spirit, not the buffing spirits.
Right. Yeah.
Like the ones that give you kick and attack punch are secondary support spirits, and it's just like those are always the same. Those don't count towards the numerical value of the spirit team. It's only the main spirit that does.
How do they not?
No,
it's just the level of the.
It's just the level of the main one, yeah.
And the
inherent
scissor effect.
Well, yeah, scissor effect. Yeah. But yeah, so there's really no incentive to make you play any of these 74 characters. You just find the one that you like and you stick to it.
Yeah, I think adventure. I think the whole spirit system, like it's cool in theory because it creates a lot more different. Like in theory, there's a lot more different like scenarios in which like things can be crazy, right? Like,
yeah.
Like this fight will be like there won't just be one opponent. There'll be like 100 for some reason, like 100 little ones.
Yeah.
Or in this particular fight, like the guy is made of stone and can't move, but he's enormous and has a ridiculous amount of health, but can still attack. But he just can't move anywhere.
Yeah.
And it'll be a stamina fight instead. And it's like so there's the potential for more varied rules compared to the old event match system. But without the old event match system was like trying to be like, oh, what if this happened between these two characters, and they build a scenario around that. And because the spirit system kind of like almost waters that down into be like, oh, here's a random fight that you can bring anyone to. Like, is that like there's a certain charm missing? I think there's a certain like.
Well, that's just what they.
There's a certain like, oh, this is a really difficult challenge. Like, what is it? The Game and Watch challenges that we always used to struggle with in the Wii U version. There was one in particular that was crazy hard.
I mean, they should have
And
just
it's
made
like-
it so that
like, that's not a problem now.
they should have made it so that on the world map, like instead of having the characters unlock at a dead end, you have the character unlock and then like a bunch of fights that are designed for that character
Maybe
of related spirits.
Or if Adventure Mode had any kind of actual story past the intro,
Yeah,
that they could have done something with it. It's like, oh, like now you're going into this area, and it's like, oh, but like Kirby's been knocked out for some reason, so you've got to take Link through this bit for some reason,
or just make it so like the whole concept of the World of Light thing, where like different areas of this map are clearly themed on different games, kind of. Like you can see the Pokemon area and the Metal Gear area essentially, and the Mega Man area. But like if like the different areas of the map had limited to like even just a selection of characters. Like if you were in the Metal Gear area, but you could still use like, I know, Samus and Zero Suit Samus and something like that. Or like this is the future space area where people like Samus belong, but not like Pokemon. And then in the Pokemon area, you mainly choose the Pokemon, but maybe a couple of other human-ish characters or something. Just some kind of incentive to use different characters. Anything.
I guess it also means the difficulty curve is kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
Like because like you. Well, I mean, there are fights that are harder than others.
Yeah.
But they're.
I saw so many people complaining about that, where it's like, the difficulty curve is so fucked. I found this fight that I couldn't beat, and like almost immediately, it's like, well, you really haven't understood how the map works, then have you? You're not meant to do everything in the order you find them.
No,
you're meant to do the ones you can do, and then loop back around to the difficult ones.
You power up some spirit. That's the problem, because it becomes like not so much about difficulty. It becomes about grinding out a more powerful team. And then coming back to the harder stuff later.
You say grinding like as if it's like actually takes any time at all to just feed a spirit a bunch of food.
I keep forgetting about that. So, but it could cost spirit points.
It does,
right? And you've got to earn,
but not too
point.
much. But yeah, you could easily just level a spirit from 0 to 99 if you want to for not much cash. The only critical thing about the world map is you just want to get to the special locations as soon as possible. The timed exploring. Send your spirits away.
Yeah, I've got one of those. I've sent people away, but I haven't gone back to check on what actually came out of that.
Yeah. Ideally, you want to find all three
of
those as soon as possible.
I found a shop.
Dojos don't really matter, but yeah, the shops too, not that relevant, but it's nice to just get the new spirits that appear in those.
Just add to your list.
But mainly the gym, of course, for passive leveling. Because you just dump spirits in there constantly.
I know we're doing a sort of classic Happy Salad review style on this bit, like we're ripping it apart a little bit, but like because it's somewhat easy to obviously it's easier to be negative than it is to be positive, but this is still a step up over what was in like other than the fact that the event match is gone. I do think that the addition of this stuff gives it a bit more legs for solo play than the Wii U version had.
Yeah,
right?
definitely that version.
Yeah, the Wii U didn't really have a lot to keep coming back to. Still was a great multiplayer game. Like we played far too much of it, as we will this. But I feel like this is going to there's more to it that will keep pulling me in just for a few fights.
Well, that's
like for like ever.
I think the advantage of spirits is like that it can be even quicker than actual fights. Like you can just do a couple.
Yeah, just crap it out. It's like in a way, it's like they're embracing the fact that it's on a mobile platform.
Yeah,
like and it's just like just have a couple fights, just do it.
When you just need to
especially
crap it out.
Spirit board, where it's not even tied to like the map or anything. You just grind a couple of spirit board fights.
Yeah. I kind of quite like that. Like I quite like the spirit board, and the fact that it's just like, okay, here's a selection of random stuff to do right now. Let's go. I still can't really. I've only taken down one ace so far, and I was hideously underleveled for it, but did somehow struggle
Cheesed
through.
it.
Yeah,
that's the trick with beating the AI. Always look for the opportunity to cheese.
Oh yeah, I was getting hammered at it, but I just got lucky that I got a pretty good start on it. And, got quite a lot of damage on it, but then it was one of those ones where reinforcements start turning up.
Yeah.
So
where it's like you kind of want to get it out of the way quick.
Yeah, so I was I don't know. There's like nearly 2,000 of these things, but it was like, have you ever come across Brewster?
Oh right, yeah, I remember that one.
The Falco and villagers on Luigi's Mansion thing. It's like so that was the one I did. I managed to get a load of damage on Falco through using lipstick.
Yep.
And then so when the villagers turned up and started owning me,
Yeah.
I wasn't in such a bad. I just needed a couple of good hits on Falco and I could take it. But I was like, I like half the team power that I should have had coming into that fight.
Well, you always wanted to be less, get more rewards.
Yeah. But that was a bit tough. And I've tried a few other ones and it's just like, oh man, no, there's no way I can achieve this one right now.
Yeah, I definitely found a couple where, like, I mean, like I said, you look for the opportunity to cheese, because there's definitely some. There was one that I had massive trouble with where I don't remember what. I think it was just the spirit was just the Star Rod.
Wait, what?
Which didn't really make sense because it's not really a character as such.
Interesting.
It was Kirby holding a Star Rod, I guess, but it was just called Star Rod. And naturally, the fight is against Kirby holding a Star Rod. But except it was like 3 of them. And all they do is just spam the Star Shot.
Right.
So it's really hard to even get off any of your moves because you're constantly getting hit from all angles by stars. So I was like, how can I solve this problem? I'll just choose a spirit that lets you start with the Franklin badge that reflects projectiles. And then I'll just stand there.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I haven't got that yet.
It's like that kind of works, except the Franklin badge doesn't last that long. So that's just like your initial damage, where you're like, I'll just stand here and let the projectiles reflect until this wears off, and then I actually have to fight. But hopefully by then you've taken some damage.
Yeah.
Or they've taken some damage rather.
You managed to get something on them, yeah. Oh, I didn't have any. I came across Curry Bowser in one of the Spirit Board fights, and I was like, oh, I've got nothing to deal with this.
Well, there isn't really anything to deal with Curry, really, is there? I guess. Would projectile reflect work on that? It might.
Maybe, yeah.
I think those might count as projectiles.
If you had like some kind of fire resistance thing, which I don't have.
But I don't think fire resistance would prevent you from
getting hurt,
constantly stuttering in the way that you do when you take damage off those kind of things.
The sort of stun lock.
Yeah. And then there was one fight where I don't remember this spirit. I definitely don't remember because I didn't recognize the spirit. But it was like it's Ganondorf and a Charizard, and it's a stamina match. And the AI on fucking Charizard was nuts. It's just like the hit zones on Charizard are huge, and it does quite high damage. And the AI was just completely destroying me. So I was trying to find the best way to just eliminate Charizard really quick. Because Gandalf completely irrelevant because he's so slow that he was barely ever attacking me in that fight. It was just this fucking Charizard that I couldn't get rid of. And then I think at the end of that fight, when I actually did kill the Charizard, Gan just ended up killing himself somehow. He just like fell in a hole at some point. I was like, oh, okay.
So I found that with like when I did the Shulk Challenger, right? Like I was getting absolutely murdered by him until it transpired that he's not very good at traversing his own level and murdered himself. Just jumped down the middle of the level.
Sometimes the AI does seem to have problems with certain recoveries.
Yeah,
right, it's just like they just fail somehow, even though normally they're quite good. Like even Ness and Lucas have learned how to do their shit.
Yeah.
The AI.
Yeah, they're pretty powerful now. Rather than just being a sort of joke AI, like they're not going to be able to do this, right?
Yeah, they actually know how to get out of a hole now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, you're looking for opportunities to cheese, and sometimes the cheese is actual cheese, and sometimes the cheese is just equipping the right spirits, which isn't really cheese, but sometimes it feels like it.
It's kind of what it's going for, isn't it? It's supposed to be build up this arsenal of tools, and then...
Or you could just do what apparently the internet has decided to do, because they're cheap, is just get a spirit that gives you the thing that makes it so you never flinch. And it makes you super slow, hard to launch, and you don't flinch. And then you just stand there. And then you just punch people. It's like, apparently, if you use that spirit, that's the solution to everything. And I've got like 2 of those, and I'm like, I'm not going to use that. It's far too cheap. Super armor, that's what it's called.
Right.
I remember.
I haven't come across that yet.
But yeah, apparently that spirit is just the win option. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to do this for real. Because I'm not actually good at Smash, but I like to think that I am.
I want to have fun with this at least, yeah. And maybe I'll get better through not using it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing that I worry about with the adventure mode, because you also have the skill RPG skills tree.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. Yeah.
And it's like, those give you buffs that are like, actually affect the way you play the game. It's like, this is just going to make me real bad at multiplayer, isn't it? Because I'm getting too used to all these like extended windows for stuff. And
they change how you move. Like you might not have so much landing lag, and like
perfect shielding is easier. Not that I've ever intentionally done a perfect shield.
No, I've never intentionally done it. It's happened, but not because I was gunning for it.
On that skill tree, there's a skill that like if you do a perfect shield, it reflects projectiles. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, the fact that you're already having to do a perfect shield and then you're having to think about it being a projectile as well to actually intentionally do that. Dang. Goddamn perfect shields. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of emphasis on it in that skill tree, and I'm just like, I just don't, I guess it's,
Well, I imagine it's quite a thing it will be quite a thing in competitive,
sure.
Right? It seems super geared towards that.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's real good. It's worth saying it's real good.
I'm still not through that goddamn adventure mode. It's real long.
Yeah. I hear it's like at least a good 10 hours or something like that.
More than that. Yeah. Certainly. Although, I mean, I've
probably put like 2.5 in and I've done like barely a quarter, like not even.
Yeah. The real question is whether people who say that it's like 10 hours or whatever, how completed did they do it? Because you can leave fights behind.
Right, yeah.
You only have to go to the 3 boss locations or whatever to lower the shield. Well, I guess I don't know what happens when you go into what appears to be the final boss, but maybe it isn't.
Into gloom, you mean? Yeah.
Mainly because I don't know where all these characters are. Like, I'm well short of how many characters I should have, and I've cleared most of the map.
Yeah, I got that feeling like pretty early on. It's like, yeah, I'm like, I've only got a small portion of the map revealed, but it's like I feel like I should have found more characters in that bit of map.
Yeah.
So like, what? Yeah, where does this go?
It does feel like I've not got nearly as many characters as I should, and I'm like, am I going to walk up to what appears to be the end boss, and then it's just going to be like a whole other map?
Yeah,
where there's a whole bunch more characters. Who knows? But I've just been trying to clear up, all the fights, even the hard ones. Now that I've actually got decent spirits, that I can go back to the ones that are rated like 13,000 or whatever.
Oh, cool! What, you're doing legendaries?
Well, yeah, I guess they are. Some of them
are, yeah. Although I'd seen at that level. It's like, yeah, I'm a long way off from taking those on.
But I really need better spirits in general, I think. I think I just need to get at least one useful legendary myself to bring my stats up to that level, and then those will become more manageable.
I mean, this whole thing's quite gacha, really, isn't it? It's just like, it is about grind and leveling, and
it's not that much about grind.
It's a little bit about grind.
Well, there's passive grind on the dojos and stuff, and the exploring. Yeah. It's like it's not really grind. I'm at the situation where now I don't have like any spirit points because I've spent them all. So you could argue that I need to do grind.
To get some of that.
The exploring, the 2-hour exploration gives you like 1,000 spirit points a run essentially, which isn't bad for passive.
I should check in, see what's happened to my explore. Because I put some that were had levels and some support guys in as well, so I don't know what happens in that scenario.
There's a tip that seems to claim that if you put different kinds of spirits in, it might affect the outcome.
Yeah, because I noticed as I say, I've not seen the result of this yet. I don't know quite what I'm doing on that front, but I noticed that when I was selecting people, they're like up.
The little alpha arrow, that just seems to imply it's better in general, because that's not necessarily tied to what type of spirit it is or anything.
An explorer spirit of some sort, or maybe.
But yeah, I haven't noticed any significant effect from the different teams I've been putting in. Although maybe I haven't been putting in teams that are different enough. Like maybe you send out an all support spirits team instead of with no primaries or something. Maybe you get different results. Because one of the things that you get from that is it levels up the spirits. So what if you had a support spirit team where none of them actually level up? Does that affect the material rewards?
Yeah. Imagine it must, right, for balance.
You'd hope.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's. I think, as I say, it's turned out to be a little more interesting than I had anticipated. I guess the spirit stuff, but it's but in the same breath, it's like, perhaps subspace emissary would have been better.
You just well, yeah, I guess you don't I don't know if you'd want. Levels like you had in Subspace Emissary.
Oh, I kind of do because they were fun and bad.
They were fun and bad, but I don't think you'd want to do them. I mean, I guess if you don't consider the fact that part of Subspace Emissary might have been going through it multiple times, then maybe it's okay for the lowest levels to be fun and bad. But doing them more than once, not good any longer.
or if they'd been like gone a little bit further with what classic mode is, right, and like done more something maybe a little more akin to what Melee started with its adventure mode. Because remember that was like classic mode, but with some weird levels thrown in, and it's like if they'd perhaps done some themed stuff for some of the characters and.
Yeah, I mean, and because I guess the times that you get that kind of stuff, it's like only on the map. Like when you do the Monster Hunter bit. Spoilers, I guess.
Spoilers. Well, we've seen it in a trailer.
Yeah, we saw it. You kind of saw it very brief. That bit where you see Rathalos on the map, that is actually they try to simulate Monster Hunter by making it where like you have to chase it around the map.
Oh,
but like the direction you approach it from changes where it goes.
Okay.
So you kind of like have to herd it into a corner and then you can fight it.
That's kind of cool.
It's kind of like Monster Hunter, but not really.
Yeah. And you got those like obstacles on the map where it's like, well, you can't go through here until you've got a spirit.
Yeah, but that's not an entertaining thing, is it? That's just a roadblock.
It's like a key. Almost.
Yeah,
It's like you've got a key.
Just a key. I didn't get it for a while because I didn't play Monster Hunter, but like that Rathalos fight is actually quite Monster Hunter-y in the actual fight.
There's a tip, isn't there, about like you can if you damage its tail enough or something, like you can get an extra item out of it or something like.
Yeah, I mean that's
like,
a monster.
Secret,
that is a Monster Hunter thing. Although that's not actually. I don't think that's relevant in the boss fight. But in more spoilers, I suppose. But like in the boss fight, items drop, and you have to use them in a Monster Hunter-y kind of way.
Oh, cool!
And it's like, this makes sense if you realise that it's Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Which I kind of did for a while. I was just chucking these items around, and it was like, these aren't really helping me much. I might as well just ignore them. And then it's like, oh, you have to do the Monster Hunter thing. Oh.
Yeah, vaguely. Like because like Rathalos appears at one of the classic modes I think I've done.
Yeah.
But, like, and the items appear there as well, I think.
Yeah, I imagine they would.
But yeah, I don't think I was using them right then, so maybe I need to revisit that.
Although
wait till I come across it in adventure.
I mean, I guess that is maybe because it's not like all of the bosses do stuff like that. It's like Giga Bowser is just Giga Bowser, and the Rhino tank thing is just the Rhino tank thing.
Ganon was annoying.
Ganon does have a thing though, where it's like you have to hit his tail like in the N64 game.
He has a thing, but it's an irritating thing. I find Ganon really annoying to fight.
But yeah, they did do some slightly ingenious things, but not straight up adventure levels.
No, well, I'm glad that stuff's there. I'm glad the sort of like the boss fight stuff is there. It's like because that stuff does feel well done at least. It's nice. It's better than having just like Master and Crazy Hand, right? Than we used to have.
I guess.
Although they turn up too.
Yep, they also do. And
everybody's here.
Yeah, because presumably they appear right at the end. Or just before the end.
Yeah.
One would assume. So yeah, I'm getting through it. It's
good.
It's a lot of stuff to do.
Presumably you're playing most of it docked, right? Have you had much? I played it handheld and like having do what I normally do, which is like move the buttons around so they're a little bit more like the GameCube controller. Then I didn't
change them because they are like the GameCube controller.
Well, no, I don't like the A being out on the right. I like A being bottom mid where X or A would normally be.
Yeah, but then that's where B should be because it should be diagonally downwards from A.
But I like yeah, I don't know. My thumb doesn't like it. Like so I map it more like how I imagine a GameCube to be. Like just
you can adjust it however you want, can you?
Yeah, you can modify everything pretty much. It's
unfortunately you can't turn things off though, which is
no. You have to have a button for every action, which is like if you don't want a specific action, it kind of has to be somewhere.
Because that's my problem with playing it portable or undocked is that like because my right stick is slightly buggered.
Oh, you can't turn off.
I can't turn off the right stick from doing things.
Is there not an option to turn off right stick smash? Is that not a?
No, because it has to be configured as something. Like
but
you can change it to shield or something.
Was that not one of the advanced options to turn off right stick smash?
No, it still has to be configured to be something.
Okay.
You can turn off AB smash. That's the one you can turn off. But that's irrelevant anyway.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
But yeah, because my right stick drifts occasionally, it's like I can't not have it set to anything. So that kind of screws me.
But you've got my old GameCube adapter anyway, right? So
yes, it's fine. And also, it's not even when I've been playing it in that setup. It's not been too much. Like if I notice it, all I really have to do is just like flick the right stick briefly, and it usually recenters it enough.
Right. Yeah. It's good.
Yep, it's good.
It's good.
It's ultimate. Ish.
Get through all those challenges.
Mm.
The challenge board.
Yeah,
Save those hammers.
challenge board's back. But I don't mind the challenge board, but it's like because it doesn't really give you anything particularly super interesting.
Well, some money occasionally.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. Couple of songs.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. I did go through the music list.
Yeah.
Like I spent some time with it, and it's like it's fun traversing that list.
Some of the new remixes are pretty cool.
Yeah, some of them are really great. Like not just that little, not just cool. Some of them are really great. But some of them are kind of bad.
Some of them are really weird.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a remix of the Wii Shop music.
Hell yeah. Well, the primary thing I went through was just go through all the stages and turn down the probability of the primary track, so you get to hear more of the other ones.
Yeah, I looked at that briefly, and I feel like they've really done too heavy a focus on. It's not even just that, like you want to turn down the primary; it's that all the other ones are tiny, tiny little mini bars.
Well, some
of them
are turned off in some of the like the franchises where there's more levels, there's multiple levels because they'll be
because they're trying to be vaguely specific.
Yeah, so there'll be like a pixel on some of the levels, and there'll be.
But a lot of them are like that, where it's just like like tiny, and it's 100% and like 1%. It's just that's kind of a bit much.
And I do sometimes think the choices for I have a particular gripe with the F-Zero song choice, right? Because there's they have a level themed on Port Town from F-Zero GX,
which doesn't have that music.
Which doesn't have the Port Town music from F-Zero GX. It's like mistake. Yeah, so that bothered me. That did.
You just wanted to change it to be that song that was basically the Daytona song, but for F-Zero. F-Zero.
Yeah, that's funny. Where is that from? If they just made it.
I think that's just a new one.
Oh, it's so strange. It's like the other while I'm ranting about F-Zero GX,
of course,
music choices. Yeah, they picked. I know they did this in the Wii U version as well, but they brought Brain Cleaner.
Oh god, that song.
Yeah, which is the replay music from GX. It's one that a lot of people might not have even heard. It's not what you get. Couldn't they pick the theme music, or even just that main menu theme song is pretty great. I'd have been happy with that.
Well, maybe you haven't unlocked it yet.
No, maybe. Yeah, there are some that I don't know. And it's quite funny when you go to the Street Fighter list is interesting, right? Because I think it's got both the Mega Drive and SNES versions of all the fighter themes.
Yeah, it's got a lot.
It's got loads,
and the thing is, it's got loads, but they're all the originals.
Yeah,
there's not really any remixes in that list. It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, there could have been some great Guile stuff, for instance, in there.
At least you still get it.
Yeah.
Just in the original form.
And then you go and look at the Final Fantasy one, and it's got two. And it's like, oh, Square, come on now.
Yeah, that was disappointing in the last game, because that was all you got.
Yeah.
In the DLC. And now that's still all you get.
Yeah. At least with the Persona pack, you can hopefully expect some decent music, because people like the Persona music, right? Because it's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I guess it depends on Atlas, I suppose. Because,
it's Sega. Sega are pretty open about
Sega
this stuff.
Atlas, I guess. But, hopefully they'll allow a lot of music to happen like they did, Castlevania. Because that has a shit ton of tracks, considering it's one level and two guys.
Oh, yeah, also, it annoyed me. I went through the Mega Man list, and it doesn't have, the... what I consider the Mega Man 2 music in my head.
Doesn't it?
I couldn't find it, anyway.
That's Wily's Castle from Mega Man 2, right? I guess.
My Mega Man knowledge doesn't go that far, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe that's not in there. Or maybe that's another one we haven't unlocked yet. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah.
Because it does have some of the better, Mega Man 2 music, Metal Man. It's always nice.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I'm going to find that one, I'm going to turn that one up. It's my jam. But, yes, no. Couldn't find it. But so here's hoping the Fighters Pass, I'm actually tempted.
Yeah.
I know it's only 5 characters, right? And it's a lot of money for 5 characters, given I've got 70 of the things. But it's just Joker's an interesting pick. I have some decent faith in where they go with this now, and more Smash is more Smash, man.
Yeah, basically.
And I haven't really toyed with much of the DLC. I've played Ryu a bit. Ryu's quite fun.
Yeah, I haven't really played any of them yet.
Even
the new characters, really, apart from Isabel.
Yeah, we didn't go in on the DLC on the Wii U version, and it's like so picking up those characters is quite it's fresh. I quite like how Ryu had those. He's interesting.
Have you got the hang of doing the actual Street Fighter moves though?
Well, the fireball's easy, right?
So that's the easy one.
I'm quarter circling them all the time, but like I haven't managed to get the upgraded Shoryuken to come out. The Dragon Ball action, or Dragon Punch action,
because it's what all the I guess the most recent Smash characters. Well, not all of them, but like the more recent Smash characters is where you start getting into weirdly specific mechanics. Like Bayonetta, I've only just unlocked, but I'm like, from what I know of how that even works, it's like that seems complicated.
Yeah,
whereas like you can hold the button after the move has come out to continue firing your guns, like in the game.
Oh,
and I'm
right.
like, this is going to be real confusing to play, isn't it?
Huh. Yeah, I haven't played as Bayonetta yet. I've played against her, but I haven't played as her. And was it because Inkling's got obviously the refill mechanic, so there's an extra button press you can do when shielded to go into refill state,
which isn't too bad to remember.
No, it's a single button, so that's fine. But it's still an extra thing to think about while you're fighting.
Yeah, I mean, that's what all these later characters they at least have like one thing that's slightly weird.
Yeah, like Cloud will have his limit when we eventually get him.
Yeah.
And, which I suppose isn't too different from the Little Mac Mega Punch thing. But...
Except you can do it with a lot of different moves. It's not like it's just one move.
Oh right, so if you do it in a different way,
well, basically all of Cloud's specials can be limited. So like Cross Slash and Clim Hazard and Finishing Touch replaces your charge when you have limit, I think.
Okay, you're right.
So it's like you actually have options with that.
That's cool. And the characters they have changed a couple of characters as well subtly. Like you don't like New Link, and I don't really think there's much difference.
I'm not used to the bomb being a trigger, which is awkward.
Well, it's weird when someone else picks up your bomb because you can't trigger it while they're holding it.
Which I think they should fix.
Yeah,
I really think you should just be able to detonate it if they're stupid enough to hold on to your bomb. Because like you can, if you're playing a snake, you can plant C4 on people.
Yeah.
In Breath of the Wild, they sometimes pick up your bombs and you can still detonate them, right?
Yeah, it is weird. Like I don't know. Maybe it's like something to do with if there are multiple links and like you don't know whose bomb is who. But I'm like that just adds to it, man.
Yeah, I guess. I guess those bombs aren't like coloured or anything when you're on different skins, are they?
No,
they're always blue.
The blue. Yeah,
that's well confusing. And also, as we noticed the one time that happened, your bomb doesn't set off the other bombs, which it really should.
Oh yeah, it should. I hadn't noticed that. Funny that you can get caught. Like the number of times I've won matches by just blowing myself up in the bomb and being like, "Haha!"
Yes, just collateral damage, but you still win.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not used to it. Oh, I did want to mention, because, I mean, this is not really that relevant, but it's maybe relevant to what's going on in the online Smash game. One of the matches I went into, it was a 4-player stock match. And it was on that Gerudo Valley, the one with the bridge, and it's just flat, basically, with a couple of platforms. And it has an edge, like a death edge, not an edge. You can walk off the screen. Okay. They call it a walk off.
Right.
It has that, and there was a guy on there. One of the 4 people was playing Young Link, and it was one of those situations where the other 3 people in the server didn't realize soon enough that he was cheesing it real good, or or you could say he had any strategy at all. Which was, he'd sit at one side of the screen, constantly spam arrows and all the other projectiles that fucking Young Link has, just hitting people and racking up damage, and then as soon as anyone came close, he'd just throw them off the edge.
Right, yeah.
And unfortunately, the other 3 people who were in this fight didn't really notice for most of the game that he was doing that. So it came down to basically me against him at the end, and I was like, well, this is annoying, because now I've actually got to play for real.
Yeah,
this has turned into an actual fight.
An actual 1v1.
But, the thing was, he was sitting in the corner cheating his projectiles, but I was playing Wii Fit Trainer, and because Wii Fit Trainer has 2 different moves that heal you, I was like, well, if you're going to sit over there and just camp in the corner, I'll just camp over here and heal.
What? Does the game just time out eventually? What happened?
Well, because it was a stock match. So I don't even remember if time was turned on in that one or not, or it might have been long enough. But we had even stock, so it would have been based on damage, I guess. So maybe I could have eventually healed myself to get lower percentage than he had.
Were you attempting to fire sun salutations?
Yeah, because that's one of the moves that heals you also, as well as
Oh,
deep
does
breathing. Yeah, that it does now. That's
Huh.
an upgrade. If you fully charge it, it heals,
Right. Cool.
and then deep breathing heals you as well. So it's like if you're going to corner camp and try and projectile, I'm going to camp over here and gain health. Although we did like a fight broke out eventually, and I still lost.
Did he get bored?
I don't know if he got bored or I got bored. It's like we were both occasionally like trying to do what we could. He was still trying to throw me off the edge, but I was just about managing to not get thrown off the edge. So I was defeating that
You'd
tactic.
healed too much.
Yeah, I guess. And because of the whole point of deep breathing with refit is it makes your attack stronger, I was just going for like just run in, do one attack, and get out.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
try and build up damage over time gradually whilst avoiding the spam of projectiles.
Was there like items on as well? Was there something you could have thrown?
No, I
in?
think it was items off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just that. The funny thing was, it was a 4-player match, and there was probably like the last 5 minutes of the match was just me and him, and then presumably these other two people just watching, which in some ways probably sucked for them.
It's probably quite funny. I was just like, what's going on?
But yeah, an actual fight broke out. It turned into a real game for a minute, and I still failed. The problem with the sun salutation spamming on my part is because this is one of those mechanics that you never think about is with Link, all of the Links, if they just stand in neutral, the shield blocks projectiles.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Huh.
You never really think about it,
No.
or in the way we play Smash.
I guess you never stop.
No, exactly. But if you just stand still with the shield facing forwards, it blocks projectiles. So it kind of counteracted my sun spam.
Wow. All right. I did not know that. I wonder how long has that been there?
Probably since Toon Link, I think, was the first one that had it. So the other links in that game got it as well.
Wow. Cool.
So yeah, eventually, I lost, but I at least took one of his stocks. It was 2-2 when this fight started, and then I lost with him only having one stock left. So I didn't completely fuck up. I still realised what was going on and tried to counter it the best I could.
At least he recognised that you knew what the heck he was doing.
Yes. We both had a moment where we looked at each other and were like, oh shit.
I kind of wish you were Captain Falcon at that point and could have just gone, show me your moves.
Well, that's the thing. Taunts aren't on in multiplayer.
Ah, what? Not at all.
No.
So you can't even do Luigi's.
No, you can't even use the taunts that do damage. And I'm like, what?
Oh, man.
Disappoint.
Does
You can't
Luigi
use
have like a
Snake's
death
box to
stare
get people.
or something?
Luigi has this like shuffle, like he has like a bashful kick that is like ultra powerful if it actually hits
Yeah.
everyone.
Well, it does it used to only do like 1 point of damage, but it has like really
Crazy
high
launch
knockback.
power, yeah.
And if they're hanging on a ledge, it just kicks them straight down. Like you just kick them off the ledge.
It's so
It's
good.
super funny.
It has to be noted, the announcer still says Luigi the correct way.
Yep.
Luigi.
I went through I went into like the voice test and played all of those, even
Right.
for the characters I didn't have. To
Right.
see like, where's all the, does he pronounce any other ones? There's a couple of other slightly weird pronunciations on some of the new characters that I noticed.
He sounds overly enthusiastic when he says Sonic. I don't know why. Like he seems like super happy that you
Yeah,
picked Sonic.
it's like, it feels slightly, I mean, apart from
Sonic!
Luigi, it's like some of them seem slightly inconsistent, where it's like, that seemed like a slightly weird take on that one. You've maybe slightly overdone it. And I also, in the sound test, went through all of Daisy's sound effects to make sure that there's definitely nowhere that she says, hi, I'm Daisy. And there isn't! Disappointment!
Oh, man. You got it wrong. Every move should have just said, hi, I'm Daisy.
Is that a meme then? Hi, I'm Daisy. Where does that come from?
Isn't it super
was double dash, right?
Yeah, because whenever she like got
Because
in the driver's
you can
seat,
switch seats in Double Dash,
Oh, right.
yeah,
of
whenever
course.
she got in the driver's seat, she would shout, "Hi, I'm Daisy."
which was therefore constantly, because that was what you were doing in Double Dash.
Wasn't there like was it VG Cats or something where they did like Daisy meets Batman?
Yeah.
And it's
And
just
Batman.
like, I'm Batman. Hi, I'm Daisy. I'm Batman. Hi, I'm Daisy.
It's a classic. But yeah, not in the game. Disappointing.
Oh man, missed out.
Game.
Good.
Game.
I think we might be done.
Yeah, I think
but I will very quickly say, grip isn't all that good.
Yeah.
I'm not finding the fun. And episode Ignis from Final Fantasy 15, surprisingly okay.
Surprisingly okay.
Yeah, given that the other episodes weren't all that great.
Okay.
Like, this one,
So you think this one is better than those, but like not as good as the main game still?
it does the job of filling the story hole.
Okay.
But that I guess it sets out to do.
Yeah,
Oh, and I suppose that was news we never touched on, was it? That they cancelled all the Final Fantasy DLC.
all the rest of it. Yeah.
Apart from one episode, Arden is apparently still coming. Anyway, yeah, that's it. I'm done.
That's it.
I'm out.
That's the end. Thank you for joining us, listeners, for 2018's Saladcasts. We'll be back in the new year shortly with our badly researched Game of the Year spectacular.
And I kind of do, like, we won't have time for like a proper review of it, but I kind of do want to make sure I get Tetris Effect in before we start talking about this stuff.
Yeah, we're going to get Tetris Effect in. So, yeah, do your homework.
Also,
Rob, play Tetris Effect. Zach, play Celeste. Me, play, I don't know, anything. Spider-Man.
Also, do you remember when I mentioned Gris? Like, I think it was at E3.
Yeah.
Like, the super pretty, that came out. Like, it's like, oh damn it, this is the wrong time of year for you to come out because you're not going to get your due.
Anything in November or December,
Yeah,
apart from Call of Duty.
I will play Gris, and I probably will play Below at some point. But you're too late, guys. 2018's done.
Say Finny.
Those go into the last year's, next year category.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't even know what's in this year's, last year's, next year's.
This
I'm tempted to make it so like we just have like a catch-up category that's not like last year's game of this year, like this year's game of last year, like or just be like this year's old game that we found.
But that's what we did last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we've done. I think we've
do
done
the
it
same.
before.
We'll do the same this year. Cool.
Not be quite so restrictive. Just be like, hey, here's a game we never played before, and it turns out it was good.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Boom.
Look forward for
Bish bash bosh. This podcast is Dosh. No,
It is dark.
Money!
Indeed.
This podcast is money. Clearly.
Catch you next time, listeners. Bye.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.